The crystal chandelier above table 7 had been flickering all night, and Zara Mensah couldn't shake the feeling that it was some kind of omen. She adjusted her black waitress uniform, modest, professional, the kind that covered everything because she'd specifically requested it, and balanced the tray of premium soju and imported whiskey as she navigated through Moonlight Palace's main dining room. The upscale Korean restaurant in Gangnam was where Seoul's elite came to see and be seen, where business deals worth millions happened over galbi and expensive liquor. It was also, Zara had learned in her 8 months working here, where criminals pretended to be legitimate businessmen. Table 7, VIP room, Manager Kim had said, his tone nervous in a way that made her stomach clench. Private party. Very important guests. Don't speak unless spoken to. Don't make eye contact. And whatever you see or hear, forget it immediately. Zara had nodded, even though every instinct screamed at her to refuse. But she needed this job, needed the money for university tuition, for her tiny apartment in Itaewon, for the monthly transfers to her mother and siblings back in Accra. She'd come to Seoul 2 years ago on a student visa with dreams of getting her business degree and building a better life. She hadn't expected Seoul to be so expensive, so lonely, so hard. The VIP room was at the end of a private hallway, guarded by 2 men in dark suits with earpieces. They looked her over with cold eyes, noted the tray, and stepped aside. The door was already cracked open. Zara knocked softly, then pushed it open with her hip, keeping her eyes down respectfully as she'd been taught. "Good evening, I have your—" The words died in her throat. 5 men sat around the table, but it wasn't a dinner party. In the center of the table was a black duffel bag, unzipped, revealing stacks of American $100 bills. Beside it was a wooden box containing what looked like USB drives and documents marked with official-looking seals. This wasn't a business dinner. This was a deal, an illegal one. "Sir, your drinks," Zara said quickly, keeping her voice steady even as her heart hammered. She moved forward, desperate to set down the tray and leave before anyone noticed she'd seen too much. But she'd already been noticed. "Stop." The voice was deep, commanding, and held the kind of authority that made her freeze instinctively. Zara's eyes flicked up despite herself, meeting the gaze of the man seated at the head of the table. He was devastatingly handsome in the way dangerous things often were. Sharp cheekbones, a strong jaw, dark eyes that seemed to see straight through her. His black hair was styled perfectly. His charcoal suit probably cost more than she made in 6 months. And there was a small scar cutting through his left eyebrow that somehow made him more attractive rather than less. But it was the way everyone else at the table had gone silent, the way they all deferred to him with their body language, that told Zara exactly what he was. Power. Pure, undeniable power. "You're new," the man said in Korean, his tone more observation than question. "Yes, sir. 8 months." Zara kept her voice respectful, her Ghanaian accent slight, but present. She set down the tray with steady hands, despite her fear. "Will there be anything else? You saw the table." It wasn't a question. It was an accusation. "I saw nothing, sir. I'm just here to serve drinks." Zara met his eyes directly this time, drawing on every ounce of courage she had. "I don't involve myself in customers' private business." One of the other men, younger, with a friendly face that seemed out of place in this tense room, spoke up. Dae-hyun, she's just a waitress. Let her go. Dae-hyun. The name clicked in Zara's memory. She'd heard whispers among the other servers. Kang Dae-hyun, the man who owned half of Seoul's port district, whose import-export business was a barely concealed front for smuggling operations. The Crimson Tiger's boss, they called him. Seoul's most dangerous man was staring at her like she was a puzzle he needed to solve. What's your name? Dae-hyun asked, ignoring the other man's suggestion. Zara, sir. Zara Mensah. African? Ghanaian, sir. Something flickered in his expression. Surprise, perhaps, or interest. How old are you? 22. University student? Yes, sir. International business at Seoul National University. She didn't know why she was answering, why she hadn't just run. Maybe because running would make her look guilty of something. Maybe because his eyes, despite their coldness, held something that wasn't quite hostile. Ji-hoon, Dae-hyun said, still looking at Zara. Make sure Miss Mensah gets home safely tonight, and find out everything about her, where she lives, where she studies, who she talks to. Everything. The younger man, Ji-hoon, nodded. Yes, Hyung. Sir, that's not necessary, Zara started. It's very necessary. Dae-hyun leaned back in his chair, and the movement revealed a gun holster beneath his jacket. You witnessed a private transaction that makes you either a liability or... He paused, his gaze traveling over her face in a way that made her skin heat despite her fear. Or something else entirely. We'll determine which. I won't tell anyone what I saw. I swear on my mother's life. Your mother's life is in Accra, Ghana, in a house on... He glanced at one of his men, who whispered something. On Boundary Road. She has 3 other children, your younger siblings. You send them money every month. You're a good daughter, Zara Mensah. Ice flooded Zara's veins. He already knew. He'd already had her investigated, probably the moment she walked through the door. These men had access to information she'd thought was private, personal. Don't hurt my family, she whispered, pride abandoned in the face of fear. Please, they have nothing to do with this. I don't hurt innocent people. Dae-hyun stood, and he was tall, easily 6 feet, with the kind of presence that filled a room. But I do protect my interests. You're going to continue your life as normal, Zara. Go to school, work your shifts, send money home. But you'll have a shadow now. Protection, let's call it. To ensure you don't accidentally mention what you saw tonight to the wrong people. Protection or surveillance? A ghost of a smile touched his lips. Smart girl. Both. Zara's hands clenched into fists at her sides. I don't need... It's not a request. Dae-hyun moved closer. And despite every instinct telling her to back away, Zara held her ground. He studied her face up close now, his dark eyes unreadable. Interesting. Most people cower when I approach. You stand taller. I've dealt with scarier things than you, Zara lied, her accent thickening with emotion. Have you now? He sounded almost amused. Ji-hoon will escort you home. We'll speak again soon, Miss Mensah, and next time you serve this room... He leaned in slightly, his voice dropping. Remember that the flickering chandelier isn't an omen. It's a warning. This room is where dangerous men make dangerous deals. You witnessed something tonight. Whether that ruins your life or changes it forever depends entirely on the choices you make next. He stepped back, dismissing her with a gesture. Zara grabbed her empty tray with shaking hands and walked toward the door, her spine straight, despite the terror coursing through her. She would not let these men see her break. She would not. At the door, she paused and looked back. Dae-hyun was watching her, his expression unreadable. "I'm a good person," Zara said clearly. "I work hard. I follow rules. I respect others. I came to Korea to build a better life, not to get tangled up in—" She gestured at the room. "Whatever this is. So I'm asking you, begging you, to please just let me go back to being invisible." "Invisible?" Dae-hyun's voice was soft, almost gentle. "Miss Mensah, you walked into this room in your modest uniform with your proud posture and your intelligent eyes, and you became the most visible person in Seoul. At least, to me." The words hung in the air, heavy with implication, "especially to me," he added quietly. Zara didn't know what to say to that, so she said nothing. She walked out, past the guards, down the hallway, back into the main dining room, where life continued normally, where wealthy people ate expensive food and laughed, and had no idea that in a private room down the hall, a young Ghanaian woman's life had just changed forever. Outside, in the cold December night, Ji-hoon was waiting by a sleek black car. "Miss Mensah," he greeted her with a small bow, his friendly face genuinely apologetic. "I'm Park Ji-hoon. I know this situation is frightening, but I promise you're not in danger. Dae-hyun is intense, but he's honorable. He won't hurt you." "He threatened my family," Zara said flatly. "He reminded you that he knows where they are." "There's a difference." Ji-hoon opened the car door. "Please, let me take you home. We'll talk on the way, and I'll explain what happens now." Zara looked at the car, then at the street, calculating her chances of running. 0, probably. These men had resources she couldn't imagine. She got in the car. As Ji-hoon drove through Seoul's glittering night streets, Zara stared out the window and thought about the flickering chandelier, about omens and warnings, about how a single moment could split your life into before and after. She'd walked into that VIP room as Zara Mensah, struggling university student and waitress. She'd walked out as something else entirely. Target, witness, liability. Or, according to Kang Dae-hyun's intense stare, something far more dangerous than any of those. She'd walked out as the object of a Mafia boss's interest. And in Seoul's underworld, Zara was learning that was the most dangerous thing a woman could be. What would you do if you accidentally witnessed something that pulled you into a world of danger and obsession? Would you run or fight to reclaim your normal life? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you're already hooked and need to know what happens when Zara's innocent life collides with Seoul's criminal underworld, hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments who you think she'll end up with. The ruthless boss, his loyal soldier, or will she escape them all? Trust me, this story is about to get even more intense. Now let's continue. The car ride to Zara's apartment was 20 minutes of tense silence, broken only by Ji-hoon's attempts at conversation. "You're studying international business?" he asked, his Korean careful and clear, probably adjusting his speech for her benefit. "Yes, that's impressive. Seoul National University is very competitive. I work hard. I can see that." Ji-hoon glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "Miss Mensah, I know you're frightened, but I want you to understand something. Dae-hyun isn't a monster. He has rules, codes he lives by. He doesn't hurt innocent people. Then why am I being followed? Protected, Ji-hoon corrected gently. There's a difference. You saw something tonight that other organizations would kill to know about. If word gets out that a witness exists. He trailed off meaningfully. Zara's stomach dropped. Other organizations? Seoul's underworld is complicated. Dae-hyun controls the ports and shipping, but there are rivals. The Silver Serpent Gang controls nightlife and entertainment. Their boss, Choi Seung-min, has been trying to find leverage against Dae-hyun for years. If he learns about you, I become a target. Yes, so Dae-hyun's protection isn't kindness, exactly. It's strategy. Keep you safe, keep you silent, keep his operations secure. Ji-hoon pulled up outside her building, a modest apartment complex in Itaewon. Nothing fancy, but clean and safe. But also, I think he was genuinely concerned about you. I've worked for him for 8 years. I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looked at you. He looked at me like I was a problem to solve. He looked at you like you were a miracle he didn't expect. Ji-hoon turned to face her properly. Dae-hyun hasn't shown interest in a woman in, God, maybe 5 years. Since his fiancée died. Despite herself, Zara's curiosity stirred. He was engaged? Long time ago. She was killed in a rival gang attack. Wrong place, wrong time. He blamed himself for bringing her into his world. Since then, he's been... Ji-hoon searched for the word. Empty. Just going through motions, building power, but never really living. Until tonight, when you walked into that room. I didn't ask to walk into his life. No one asks for fate, Miss Mensah. It just happens. Zara opened the car door, desperate to escape this conversation, this car, this entire nightmare. Thank you for the ride. You can tell your boss that I'll keep my mouth shut. He doesn't need to waste resources watching me. It's not a waste. Ji-hoon's voice stopped her. Miss Mensah, Zara, starting tomorrow, I'll be your primary shadow. You'll see me around campus, near your work, in your neighborhood. I'll try to be discreet, but I want you to know I'm there. If you ever need anything, if you're ever in danger, I'm your first line of defense. Okay? I don't need a bodyguard. You do. You just don't know it yet. Zara's apartment was a studio barely larger than a closet. A single room with a kitchenette, a bathroom the size of a phone booth, and a window that overlooked an alley. But it was hers, paid for with her own money, and right now it felt like a sanctuary. She locked the door, checked the window locks twice, then collapsed onto her narrow bed and let herself shake. This couldn't be happening. She'd been so careful in Seoul, kept her head down, stayed out of trouble, focused on school and work and survival. How had one random assignment serving the VIP room destroyed everything? Her phone buzzed. Her mother, video calling from Ghana. Zara almost didn't answer. How could she pretend everything was fine? But her mother would worry if she didn't pick up. Zara, my dear. Her mother's face filled the screen, warm and familiar and painfully far away. Behind her, Zara could see the familiar peeling walls of their house in Accra, could hear her siblings arguing in the background. How are you? You look tired. Long shift, Mama. I'm fine. The lie tasted bitter. You work too hard. Are you eating enough? You look thin. I'm eating fine. Another lie. She'd been surviving on instant noodles for weeks to save money for her mother's blood pressure medication. How are you? How's your health? Much better, thank God. The medication you sent last month helped so much. The doctor says my pressure is almost normal now. Her mother's eyes filled with grateful tears. You're such a good daughter, Zara. Your father would be so proud. Zara's father had died 3 years ago. A heart attack, sudden and devastating, leaving her mother alone with 4 children and no income. Zara, as the eldest, had taken responsibility. Seoul had been her escape and her sacrifice, a way to earn enough money to save her family while pursuing her own dreams. Now those dreams felt impossibly fragile. Mama, I need to ask you something. Zara kept her voice casual. Has anyone strange been around the house? Anyone asking questions about me? Her mother's expression shifted to concern. No, why? Zara, is something wrong? No, just some spam calls at work. People trying to get personal information. I wanted to make sure you were safe. We're fine, dear. Don't worry about us. You focus on your studies. Her mother leaned closer to the screen. Zara, are you sure you're okay? You seem troubled. I'm fine, Mama. I promise. After the call ended, Zara sat in the darkness of her apartment and let a few tears fall. She'd come to Seoul to build a better life, to be strong, to save her family. She couldn't let some criminal organization destroy that. She wouldn't. But Kang Dae-hyun's words echoed in her mind. You became the most visible person in Seoul. At least, to me. What did that even mean? 12 blocks away, in a luxury penthouse overlooking the Han River, Kang Dae-hyun stood at his floor-to-ceiling windows and tried to understand what had happened tonight. He'd conducted thousands of deals, met countless people, built an empire on his ability to read situations and control outcomes. He was 35 years old and had been running the Crimson Tigers since he was 23, when he'd systematically eliminated everyone above him in the hierarchy through a combination of strategy and ruthlessness. He didn't get distracted. He didn't lose focus. He certainly didn't become fixated on random women. Yet he couldn't stop thinking about Zara Mensah. Here's the full report, Hyung. Ji-hoon entered without knocking, one of the few people with that privilege, and handed over a tablet. Everything we could find on her. Dae-hyun scrolled through the information, his expression carefully neutral. Zara Mensah, 22, Ghanaian national. Arrived in Seoul 2 years ago on student visa. Seoul National University, international business major, 3.8 GPA. Works 3 jobs, Moonlight Palace waitress, weekend barista at a cafe in Hongdae, occasional tutoring in English. Sends 70% of income to family in Ghana. Mother with hypertension, 3 younger siblings. Father deceased. No boyfriend. No criminal record. No debt beyond student loans. Church attendance every Sunday at Itaewon International Church. Active in African Student Association. Known for being studious, quiet, keeps to herself. And then, at the bottom of the report, a note from the investigator. Subject maintains virginity for religious, cultural reasons. Has rejected multiple romantic advances. Reputation among peers. Untouchable. Too good for this world. Probably going to be a CEO someday. Virgin. Of course she was. It explained the modest uniform request, the way she carried herself with such careful dignity the innocence in her eyes despite the steel in her spine. "She's completely clean," Ji-hoon said, watching Dae-hyun's face carefully. "No connections to any rival organizations, no suspicious activities. She's exactly what she appears to be, a hard-working student trying to survive." "Which makes her perfect," Dae-hyun murmured. "Perfect for what?" "For destroying." Dae-hyun set down the tablet. "She's pure, Ji-hoon. Genuinely, actually pure. In our world, that kind of innocence gets corrupted or killed. Usually, both. So what do you want to do? Let her go? She won't talk. I believe that. I can't let her go." The admission felt like weakness, but Dae-hyun had never lied to Ji-hoon. "The moment I saw her, I knew. She's going to change everything." "Change what?" "Everything." Dae-hyun turned from the window. "Seung-min has been quiet lately. Too quiet. He's planning something, and if he finds out about her, he'll use her against you." "Yes. Which means I need to keep her close. Protected. Safe." Dae-hyun paused. "But not corrupted. She needs to stay exactly as she is. Pure, innocent, untouched. That's non-negotiable." Ji-hoon studied his boss, his oldest friend, the man he'd followed through hell and back. "Hyung, you can't have it both ways. You can't pull her into our world and expect her to stay innocent. This life destroys innocence. You know that. Then I'll be the barrier between her and the destruction." Dae-hyun's voice was firm. "Assign yourself as her primary protection. Be visible, but not intrusive. Let her live her life, but make sure nothing touches her. No threats, no violence, no danger. Understood? Understood." "But Hyung," Ji-hoon hesitated. "What happens if I get too close? If protecting her becomes more?" "It won't. How can you be sure?" "Because you're loyal to me, and I'm claiming her." The words came out possessive, primal. "Zara Mensah is under my protection, which means she's mine. Even if I never touch her, even if I never tell her, she's mine. And you, of all people, would never betray me." Ji-hoon's jaw tightened slightly, but he nodded. "Never, Hyung. You know that." "Good. Start tomorrow. And Ji-hoon, be kind to her. She's terrified." After Ji-hoon left, Dae-hyun returned to the window and pulled up a photo on his phone. A surveillance shot of Zara leaving the restaurant, her spine straight, despite obvious fear. Her dark skin beautiful against the neon lights of Seoul. "What are you doing to me?" he whispered to the image. He thought of Seo-yeon, his fiancée, who died 7 years ago. He'd loved her, or thought he did, and her death had taught him that love was a liability in his world. It made you weak, made you vulnerable, made you hesitate at crucial moments. He'd sworn never to love again. But looking at Zara's photo, at the fierce dignity in her dark eyes, Dae-hyun felt something crack open in his chest. Something he'd thought had died with Seo-yeon. "This is going to ruin me," he said to the empty room. "And I'm going to let it happen anyway." In another part of Seoul, in a nightclub pulsing with music and dark intent, Choi Seung-min sat in his private booth and listened to his second-in-command's report. Kang Dae-hyun was at Moonlight Palace tonight. Private meeting, probably finalizing the port expansion deal we've been trying to block. But there was an incident. "What kind of incident?" Seung-min's voice was deceptively casual. He was 31, younger than Dae-hyun, but just as dangerous in different ways. Where Dae-hyun was cold control, Seung-min was hot chaos. A waitress walked in during the deal, saw everything. African girl, young, Probably a student. Dae-hyun didn't kill her. Seung-min's interest sharpened. Dae-hyun always eliminates witnesses. Always. Why would he? He stopped, a slow smile spreading across his face. He was interested in her. We think so. He assigned Park Ji-hoon as her shadow. Full protection detail. Find out everything about her. Name, address, schedule, family, friends. Everything. Seung-min leaned back, his mind already racing through possibilities. If Kang Dae-hyun is interested in a woman for the first time in 7 years, that woman becomes very valuable. Boss, are you thinking? I'm thinking that love is a weapon, and Kang Dae-hyun just handed me ammunition. Seung-min's smile widened. Find the girl. I want to know what makes her special enough to catch the Crimson Tiger's attention. As his men scrambled to obey, Seung-min pulled out his phone and looked at an old photo. Dae-hyun and his younger brother, Min-ho, both smiling at some long-ago celebration. Before Dae-hyun had killed Min-ho in a territory dispute, claiming it was self-defense. Maybe it had been. Maybe it hadn't. Seung-min had never cared about the truth. He only cared about revenge. And if this mysterious African waitress was important to Dae-hyun, she was about to become very important to Seung-min too. Zara noticed her shadow immediately. Park Ji-hoon wasn't exactly subtle. He sat 3 tables away at the campus library, pretending to read a newspaper while she studied. He stood across the street from her morning cafe job, leaning against a lamppost with his phone. He followed her onto the subway, always 2 cars behind, always watching. For 3 days, she tried to ignore him. On the 4th day, her patience snapped. She marched straight up to him outside her apartment building, arms crossed, exhaustion and frustration making her bold. This is harassment. Ji-hoon had the grace to look sheepish. I'm just doing my job, Miss Mensah. Your job is to make me feel like a prisoner in my own life? My job is to keep you alive. His tone was gentle but firm. Please understand. You're safer with me, visible, than with threats you can't see. What threats? I haven't told anyone anything. I haven't done anything wrong. I know. But in our world, being in the wrong place at the wrong time is enough. Ji-hoon gestured to a nearby cafe. Can we talk, please? I'll buy you coffee and explain everything properly. Zara wanted to refuse, wanted to maintain her anger as armor. But she was tired, so tired, of being afraid and confused and alone. Fine, but you're buying me food too. I haven't eaten since yesterday. Something flickered in Ji-hoon's expression. Concern, maybe anger at whoever made her skip meals. Of course. 20 minutes later, Zara was working her way through a proper meal. Kimchi jjigae, rice, banchan, more food than she'd seen in days, while Ji-hoon explained Seoul's underworld politics. There are 5 major organizations controlling different territories, he said, pulling up a map on his phone. Dae-hyun's Crimson Tigers control the ports and shipping, legal and illegal imports. The Silver Serpent Gang, run by Choi Seung-min, controls entertainment and nightlife. Then there's the Golden Dragons in Busan, the Iron Fist in Incheon, and the Shadow Sect handling cybercrimes. They coexist through careful territorial boundaries and mutual profit arrangements. Like a business consortium, Zara said, her business degree kicking in despite herself. Exactly. But like any business, there's competition. Seung-min has been trying to expand into port operations for years. He and Dae-hyun hate each other, Personal history I can't discuss. Point is, anything Dae-hyun values, Seung-min wants to destroy. And you think he'd hurt me to hurt your boss? I know he would. Ji-hoon's voice was grim. Seung-min doesn't have Dae-hyun's code of honor. He hurts innocents without hesitation. If he finds out you witnessed that deal, or worse, if he finds out Dae-hyun is protecting you. He trailed off meaningfully. Zara set down her spoon, appetite suddenly gone. So I'm trapped. I can't run because you'll find me. I can't tell anyone because I'll be killed. I just have to live under surveillance forever? Not forever. Just until the situation stabilizes. Until Dae-hyun can ensure your permanent safety. And how does he plan to do that? Ji-hoon was quiet for a moment. I don't know, but I've known Dae-hyun since we were teenagers. When he decides to protect something, he protects it absolutely. You're probably the safest person in Seoul right now. I don't feel safe. I feel like a bird in a cage. I'm sorry. Ji-hoon's apology sounded genuine. For what it's worth, I'll try to give you space. I'll be nearby, but not intrusive. And if you ever need anything, groceries, help with assignments, someone to talk to, I'm here. Think of me as a protective friend. Friends don't stalk each other. Fair point. He smiled, and it transformed his face from intimidating to almost boyish. How about protective acquaintance? Despite everything, Zara felt her lips twitch toward a smile. You're less scary than your boss. Everyone's less scary than Dae-hyun. It's his superpower. Ji-hoon's expression grew serious. But Miss Mensah, Zara, you should know that underneath the scary exterior, he's a good man. He has rules. He doesn't hurt innocents, doesn't traffic people, doesn't deal drugs that destroy communities. He actually does a lot of good, anonymously funds schools, orphanages, women's shelters. He's not a monster. He's still a criminal. Yes, but in a world full of worse criminals, he's one of the better options. Ji-hoon paused, and for some reason, he's decided you're worth protecting. In our world, that's an incredible gift. I didn't ask for it. No one asks for Dae-hyun's protection. But once you have it, you're untouchable. The attack came 2 days later, and it proved Ji-hoon catastrophically right. Zara was leaving her evening shift at Moonlight Palace, exhausted after an 8-hour dinner rush. Ji-hoon had texted that he'd be waiting at the corner. He'd started doing that, giving her advance notice of his location to make her feel less watched. But when she stepped into the alley that led to the street, Ji-hoon wasn't there. 3 men were. Zara Mensah. The one in front was stocky, with a scar across his cheek and cold eyes. He spoke Korean with a Busan accent. Every instinct screamed danger. Zara backed up, her hand reaching for her phone. Who are you? Friends of Mr. Choi. He'd like to meet you. I don't know any Mr. Choi. The man lunged. Zara screamed and ran, her waitress uniform and worn sneakers, not made for sprinting, but terror gave her speed. She could hear them behind her, heavy footsteps and harsh breathing, closing the distance. Where is Ji-hoon? Where is he? Why isn't he here? A hand grabbed her arm, yanking her back. Zara spun and did the only thing she could think of. She drove her knee up hard, catching the man in the stomach. He grunted and loosened his grip just enough for her to wrench free. But the other 2 were there, and then hands were everywhere, grabbing, restraining, one covering her mouth to muffle her screams. She bit down hard, tasting blood, and the man swore viciously. Then, gunshots. Sudden, deafening, close enough that Zara felt the air displacement. The hands holding her released abruptly, and she fell to the ground, her palms scraping on concrete. "Don't move," Ji-hoon's voice, sharp with command and fury. Zara looked up to see him standing at the alley entrance, gun raised, his usually friendly face transformed into something lethal. Behind him were two more men in dark suits, backup that had appeared from nowhere. One of the attackers tried to run. Ji-hoon shot him in the leg without hesitation. "I said, don't move." He advanced slowly, and even Zara, who was supposedly on his side, felt afraid. "Who sent you? Was it Seung-min?" The scarred man spat blood. "We're dead anyway for failing. Might as well take you with us." He pulled a gun. Ji-hoon shot him in the shoulder before he could aim, and the weapon clattered away. Within seconds, Ji-hoon's backup had all three men restrained, zip-tied, and on their knees. Then Ji-hoon turned to Zara, and his entire demeanor shifted. "Are you hurt?" He holstered his gun and crouched beside her, his hands gentle as they checked her for injuries. "Zara, talk to me. Are you hurt?" She was shaking too hard to speak. There was blood on her uniform, not hers, from biting that man, and her palms were scraped raw, and she just watched someone get shot multiple times, like it was nothing. "I'm okay," she managed. I'm okay." "You're not okay. You're in shock." Ji-hoon pulled off his jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders, then pulled out his phone. "Hyung, we have a situation. Silver Serpent made a move on Zara. 3 men, all alive for now. She's safe, but shaken." "Yes, she's right here." "Understood." He hung up and met Zara's eyes. "Dae-hyun is coming. He's not happy." That was an understatement. 10 minutes later, a convoy of black vehicles descended on the alley like an invasion force. Kang Dae-hyun emerged from the lead car, and even from a distance, Zara could feel his fury like a physical force. He strode straight to the captured men, his face expressionless in that terrifying way that meant barely controlled rage. "Who sent you?" Silence. Dae-hyun pulled out a gun and shot the nearest man in the foot. The scream echoed off the alley walls. "Who sent you?" "Seung-min," the scarred man gasped. "He wanted the girl. Said she was valuable. Said to bring her alive." "Did you touch her?" "We were just following orders." Dae-hyun shot him in the other shoulder. "Did you touch her?" Yes, we grabbed her, but we weren't going to hurt her." Dae-hyun shot him in the leg. "Stop!" Zara's voice rang out before she could stop herself. "Please, just stop." Dae-hyun's head turned toward her, and for a moment, she saw past the cold rage to something else. Fear. Raw, genuine fear. He holstered his gun and walked to her, his men automatically stepping back to give them space. Up close, Zara could see his hands trembling slightly, the only sign of how rattled he actually was. "Did they hurt you?" His voice was carefully controlled. "I'm fine. Scraped palms, that's all." "They touched you. They grabbed you. They tried to take you." Each word was measured, precise. "That's not fine, Zara." It was the first time he'd used her first name without the formality, and somehow that intimacy was more frightening than his violence. "What are you going to do to them?" she asked quietly. "What needs to be done? You're going to kill them." "Yes." No hesitation, no justification, just cold fact. Because they touched me? Because they threatened what's mine? Dae-hyun reached out slowly, telegraphing his movement, and gently took her scraped hands in his. His touch was surprisingly careful, his thumbs brushing over her torn skin with a gentleness that contradicted everything else about this moment. These hands play piano for your church choir. They help your younger siblings with homework over video calls. They've never hurt anyone. He looked up, and his eyes were blazing. And these animals tried to break them, tried to break you. So yes, Zara, I'm going to kill them. That's not justice. No, it's protection. He released her hands carefully. Ji-hoon, take her to my penthouse. Dr. Kim is already waiting to treat her injuries. Feed her, make her comfortable, don't let her leave. Wait, Zara protested. It's not a request. Dae-hyun's tone softened slightly. Please, Zara, let me handle this my way. Let me make sure you're safe. After tonight, after Seung-min learns what happens when he touches you, no one will ever try this again. But right now, I need you somewhere secure while I send a message written in blood. In our world, those are the only messages people understand. He nodded to Ji-hoon. Go, now. As Ji-hoon gently guided Zara to one of the cars, she looked back to see Dae-hyun returning to the captured men, his expression transforming back into that terrifying blankness. She heard the first gunshot as the car door closed, then the second, then silence. Dae-hyun's penthouse was like something from a magazine, all modern lines, expensive art, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's glittering skyline. It was beautiful and sterile, and completely devoid of warmth. Dr. Kim, a kind-faced woman in her 50s, cleaned and bandaged Zara's hands, while Ji-hoon hovered nervously nearby. Superficial scrapes, nothing serious, the doctor assured them. But she's in shock. She should rest, eat something, stay warm. After the doctor left, Ji-hoon set about making tea and ordering food with the focused intensity of someone desperate to help but unsure how. I'm sorry, he said for the 5th time. I should have been there sooner. I was checking a perimeter alert 3 blocks over. It was a decoy to draw me away. This is my fault. It's not your fault. Zara surprised herself by meaning it. You saved me. If you hadn't come when you did, I should have prevented it from happening at all. Ji-hoon set down a cup of chamomile tea with shaking hands. Dae-hyun trusted me to protect you, and I failed. You shot 3 men without hesitation. You didn't fail. I hesitated for 3 seconds before taking the shot. In those 3 seconds, they could have taken you, could have hurt you, could have... His voice broke. I'm supposed to be good at this. This is what I do. But when I saw them touching you, when I heard you scream, I froze for a moment, and that's unacceptable. Zara studied him, this man who'd killed multiple people tonight without mercy, but was now falling apart because he'd hesitated for 3 seconds. Why do you care so much? Because you're innocent. Because you don't deserve any of this. Because... Ji-hoon stopped himself, then continued more carefully. Because Dae-hyun ordered me to protect you, and I always follow his orders. It wasn't the whole truth. Zara could hear it in his voice, see it in his eyes. But she didn't push. The penthouse door opened and Dae-hyun entered. He'd changed clothes, the blood-spattered suit gone, replaced by dark slacks and a black shirt, and his face was carefully neutral. Leave us, he told Ji-hoon quietly. Hyung, I should stay. Leave. Us. Ji-hoon hesitated, glanced at Zara with something like apology, then left. Suddenly, Zara was alone with Seoul's most dangerous man in his private sanctuary, with no witnesses and no protection. She should have been terrified. Instead, she was angry. "Did you kill them?" she demanded. "Yes." "All three?" "Yes." "Did they suffer?" Dae-hyun moved closer, and Zara saw something crack in his controlled facade. "Zara, I don't want to lie to you. Yes, they suffered. Because they made you suffer. And in my world, that requires payment. I'm not a good man. I'm not going to pretend I feel remorse for what I did tonight. The only thing I regret is that they touched you at all. You can't kill everyone who threatens me. Watch me." He sat down across from her, maintaining careful distance. Seung-min made his move. Now I make mine. By tomorrow morning, every organization in Seoul will know what happens when someone targets you. You'll be safer than you've ever been. Safer. I was attacked because of you. You were attacked because Seung-min is a psychopath who wants to hurt me by hurting you. That's not the same thing. Dae-hyun's voice was gentle but firm. I know you're angry. I know you're scared. I know this isn't the life you chose. But it's the reality now, and I'm doing everything I can to keep you safe within that reality. By pulling me deeper into your world? By making me complicit in murder? You're not complicit. You're protected. There's a difference. Is there? Zara stood abruptly, her emotions finally overwhelming her control. 3 men are dead because of me. You shot them, tortured them probably, killed them because they grabbed my arm. That's not protection. That's insanity. It's justice. Dae-hyun stood too, and now they were close. Too close. And Zara could see the faint scar through his eyebrow, could smell his expensive cologne mixed with gunpowder. In my world, Zara, justice is swift and absolute. Those men threatened an innocent woman under my protection. They would have kidnapped you, hurt you, used you as leverage. They deserved what they got. No one deserves to be executed in alley. Then you're too good for this world. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. You're too good for my world. Too pure, too innocent. And that's exactly why I can't let anything touch you. Because if Seoul's darkness corrupts you, if it steals that fire in your eyes and that strength in your spine, then I've failed at the only thing that matters. I'm not your redemption project. No, you're something far more dangerous. Dae-hyun reached out slowly and tucked a lock of her hair behind her ear, the gesture achingly gentle. You're the first thing I've cared about in 7 years. The first person who makes me want to be better rather than just more powerful. And that terrifies me more than any gang war ever could. Zara's breath caught. This close, she could see past the cold exterior to the man beneath. Lonely, broken, desperate for something he'd thought he could never have again. I can't be what you need, she whispered. I'm not asking you to be. I'm just asking you to let me protect you. Let me keep you safe. Let me make sure you get to graduate, build your career, save your family, live the life you came to Seoul to build. That's all I want, for you to have the future you deserve. And what do you get out of it? The knowledge that something good exists in this world because I protected it. His hand dropped away from her hair. That's enough. They stood there in heavy silence, the Seoul skyline glittering beyond the windows like 1,000 watching eyes. Finally, Zara spoke. I can't stay here, in your penthouse. That's inappropriate. You're staying." His tone left no room for argument. "At least tonight. Tomorrow I'll arrange a safe house. Somewhere comfortable, yours alone, but with security. You can have your independence, but you'll have my protection too. And if I refuse, then you go back to your apartment, and within 24 hours, Seung-min tries again. And maybe next time, Ji-hoon isn't there in time. Maybe next time, you end up dead or worse." Dae-hyun's eyes were hard. "Is your pride worth your life, Zara?" She wanted to say yes, wanted to maintain her dignity, her independence, her control. But she was also 22 years old, terrified and far from home. One night, she conceded, "Then we discuss alternatives." One night, Dae-hyun agreed. He showed her to a guest room, luxurious, with an attached bathroom and a lock on the door, and left her with a promise that no one would disturb her. Zara locked the door, then collapsed onto the bed, and finally let herself cry. She'd come to Seoul chasing dreams of success and security. Instead, she'd stumbled into a nightmare of violence and obsession. Caught between three dangerous men who saw her as prize, pawn, or protection project. And the most terrifying part? Some traitorous part of her heart was starting to understand why Kang Dae-hyun couldn't let her go. Because when she'd seen him enter that alley tonight, when she'd watched him execute 3 men without hesitation, she hadn't just seen a monster. She'd seen a man willing to destroy anyone who tried to hurt her. And in Seoul's dangerous underworld, maybe that was the closest thing to love she could find. Zara woke to the smell of coffee and the disorienting realization that she wasn't in her cramped Itaewon apartment. The guest room was flooded with morning light. The silk sheets felt like clouds, and through the massive windows, Seoul stretched out beneath her like a kingdom. For a moment, she let herself pretend this was normal, that she was supposed to be here, that last night's violence had been a nightmare. Then she saw the bandages on her hands and remembered everything. A soft knock at the door. "Miss Mensah, are you awake?" Ji-hoon's voice, careful and respectful. Zara wrapped herself in the provided robe, expensive, too big, probably Dae-hyun's, and opened the door. Ji-hoon stood there with a tray of breakfast, looking exhausted, like he hadn't slept. "Good morning. I wasn't sure what you'd like, so I made a bit of everything. Toast, rice, kimchi, eggs, fruit." He set the tray on the small table by the window. "How are your hands?" "Sore, but okay." Zara sat down, suddenly ravenous. "Did you sleep at all?" "I was on watch, making sure no one tried anything." He poured her coffee, his movements practiced. Dae-hyun left early for a meeting with the other bosses. "He's making it clear that you're under Crimson Tiger's protection now, officially. It's like declaring you a neutral party in underworld politics. Untouchable. Like a diplomat?" "Exactly like that." Ji-hoon smiled slightly. "Your business degree is showing." Despite everything, Zara felt a small laugh escape. Force of habit. I analyze everything like a business problem. Then analyze this. You're now the most protected person in Seoul's underworld. No one will touch you without starting a war with Dae-hyun. That's valuable status. It's also a prison. It's safety. Ji-hoon sat across from her, his expression earnest. "I know it doesn't feel like it, but Zara, what happened last night? That's the worst it will ever get. From now on, you have an entire organization ensuring nothing like that happens again. And what do I have to give in return? Nothing. That's what you're not understanding. Dae-hyun doesn't want anything from you. He just wants you safe. Everyone wants something. Not him, not with you. Ji-hoon paused. He's broken, Zara. Has been since his fiancée died. He built this empire, accumulated all this power, but none of it meant anything because he'd lost the ability to care. Then you walked into that VIP room, and something woke up in him. For the first time in 7 years, he has a reason to build something better instead of just something bigger. That's too much pressure on me. He's not asking you to fix him. He's just asking to exist in your orbit. Ji-hoon's voice softened. Is that really so terrible? Having someone powerful care whether you live or die? Zara thought of her mother in Ghana, struggling alone, her siblings who depended on her, the constant weight of responsibility she'd carried for years. I've been taking care of everyone else my whole life. I don't know how to let someone take care of me. Maybe it's time to learn. The safe house Dae-hyun arranged was perfect, and that made Zara suspicious. It was a 2-bedroom apartment in a secure building in Gangnam, close to her university, walking distance to a job he'd arranged at one of his legitimate businesses, a trading company that actually did legal imports, with better pay and hours than her 3 previous jobs combined. The apartment was furnished, but not ostentatiously. Comfortable, modern, with a kitchen that actually had counter space and a bathroom with a full-sized tub. This is too much, Zara protested when Ji-hoon showed her around that afternoon. It's practical. You need somewhere safe to live. This building has security, cameras, and my men on rotation. Plus, it's closer to campus, so you waste less time commuting. How much is the rent? Covered. Ji-hoon? Zara. He turned to face her. You can fight this, or you can accept that your life has changed and make the best of it. Dae-hyun is offering you safety, stability, and the ability to focus on your studies without working yourself to death. Why is that so hard to accept? Because I don't know what he wants in return. He wants you alive and happy. That's it. That's literally all he wants. Ji-hoon's voice rose in frustration. Then he caught himself. Sorry, I'm not angry at you. I've watched him these past few days. He doesn't sleep, barely eats, just works constantly to secure every possible threat. He's obsessed with your safety to the point of neglecting everything else. And he's not asking for anything. Not your time, not your gratitude, not even your forgiveness for pulling you into this world. He just wants to know you're okay. Zara sank onto the new couch. Overwhelmed. This is insane. Welcome to our world. Ji-hoon sat beside her, maintaining respectful distance. For what it's worth, I think you're handling this incredibly well. Most people would have broken by now. I'm Ghanaian. We're raised to be strong. You're more than strong. You're extraordinary. The words came out softer than he'd intended, and Ji-hoon immediately stood. I should go check the perimeter. But Zara had caught the tone, the look in his eyes. Ji-hoon, I'm your bodyguard. That's all. He headed for the door quickly. I'll be in the lobby if you need anything. You're safe here, Zara. I promise. After he left, Zara explored her new apartment, trying to process everything. In the bedroom, she found her clothes from her old apartment already hung up, her textbooks on the desk, her small collection of photos from Ghana arranged on the dresser. Someone, probably Ji-hoon, had moved her entire life here, while making it feel less like an invasion and more like care. Her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Zara Mensah. The voice was smooth, cultured Korean with a dangerous edge. We haven't been properly introduced. I'm Choi Seung-min. Her blood froze. I apologize for my men's crude approach last night. That wasn't how I wanted us to meet. He sounded genuinely apologetic, which somehow made him more terrifying. I simply wanted to offer you an alternative to Kang Dae-hyun's protection. How did you get this number? I have resources, but please, hear me out. Dae-hyun has painted me as a villain, I'm sure. But ask yourself, who's really keeping you prisoner? Who moved you into an apartment he controls, surrounded you with his men, tied you to his organization? That's not protection, Miss Mensah. That's ownership. I'm hanging up. Your mother's blood pressure medication costs 2,000 cedis per month. Your brother needs 5,000 for university fees next semester. Your sister wants to study nursing but can't afford it. I know everything about your family, Zara, and I can help them. Legitimately, legally, with no strings attached. Zara's hand trembled. What do you want? Just to meet. One conversation in a public place of your choosing. Hear my offer, compare it to Dae-hyun's, and make an informed decision. That's all I ask. Isn't that reasonable? Nothing about this situation is reasonable. Then let me make it more reasonable. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., Starbucks in Gangnam Station. Very public, very safe. I'll come alone. You can bring your shadow if you want. I know Ji-hoon won't let you go anywhere without him. Seung-min's voice turned silky. Unless you're afraid Dae-hyun won't allow you to make your own choices. Unless he really is treating you like property rather than a person. The manipulation was obvious, but it worked anyway. Zara hated being controlled, hated feeling like she had no agency. One meeting, public place, and I'm bringing Ji-hoon. Perfect. I look forward to meeting you properly, Miss Mensah. Oh, and Zara, don't tell Dae-hyun about this call. He'll only try to stop you from exercising your free will. But you're a smart woman. You should have all the information before deciding who to trust. He hung up. Zara stood there, phone in hand, heart hammering. She should tell Ji-hoon immediately. Should tell Dae-hyun. But Seung-min's words echoed. Who's really keeping you prisoner? That evening, Dae-hyun visited her new apartment. He knocked first. The small courtesy meant everything given his power, and waited for her to open the door. He looked exhausted, his perfect hair slightly disheveled, his tie loosened. Human instead of the controlled machine she'd seen before. May I come in? Zara stepped aside. He entered slowly, taking in the space like he was memorizing it. Is everything acceptable? If you need anything changed? It's perfect. Almost too perfect. Zara crossed her arms. You didn't have to do all this. Yes, I did. Your old apartment wasn't secure. The jobs you were working were killing you slowly. This isn't charity, Zara. It's necessity. He turned to face her. I need you safe so I can focus on business. You're a distraction when you're vulnerable. So this is strategic? Yes. But his eyes said something different. How are your hands? Healing. May I see? She held them out, and he took them gently, examining the bandages with clinical focus. But his touch lingered too long, his thumbs brushing her wrists in a way that made her breath catch. I'm sorry, he said quietly, still holding her hands. I'm sorry you were hurt. Sorry you were terrified. Sorry I brought this darkness into your life. If I could go back to that night in the restaurant, I'd find a way to let you go. To never look at you, never speak to you, never pull you into this world. Would you really? His eyes met hers, dark and honest. No, I'd do everything exactly the same, because the alternative is a world where I never knew you existed. And that's unbearable. The intensity in his voice made Zara's heart race. You don't even know me. I know you work 3 jobs to save your family. I know you came to a foreign country alone because you're brave enough to chase impossible dreams. I know you bit a man rather than surrender. I know you stood up to me when most grown men cower. I know you're kind enough to feed stray cats even when you're skipping meals yourself. I know you. He released her hands carefully. And I know I have no right to feel this way about you. You're young, innocent, deserve someone good, not someone covered in blood. Then why not just let me go? Because letting you go means letting Seung-min or someone like him take you. And I'd rather destroy everything I've built than allow that. Dae-hyun stepped back, putting distance between them. I'm not asking for your affection, Zara. I'm not even asking for your forgiveness. I'm just asking you to stay safe, finish your degree, build your life. Let me exist in the background, making sure nothing touches you. That's all. That's not all. That's everything. Yes. He moved toward the door. Ji-hoon will be nearby if you need anything. And Zara, thank you. For what? For not hating me. For understanding, even a little bit, why I can't let you go. He paused at the door. Sleep well. You're safe here. I promise. After he left, Zara sank onto her couch and tried to untangle her emotions. She should hate Kang Dae-hyun, should be repulsed by his violence, his control, his criminal empire. Instead, she found herself thinking about the exhaustion in his eyes, the gentleness of his touch, the way he looked at her like she was something precious and impossible. And she thought about Seung-min's offer, his manipulation, the way he dangled her family's needs like bait. She thought about Ji-hoon, who'd killed for her without hesitation, but treated her with such careful respect. 3 dangerous men, 3 different kinds of obsession, and Zara caught in the middle, trying desperately to maintain her identity while her world shifted around her. Her phone buzzed, Ji-hoon from the lobby. Everything okay up there? Zara typed back. Fine. Thank you for everything today. His response came quickly. Just doing my job. But they both knew it was more than that now. Over the next 2 weeks, Zara's new life took shape. She attended her university classes without fear, knowing Ji-hoon was nearby. She worked at the trading company, legitimate work, decent pay, normal hours. She video called her mother and finally had good news to share. A better job, a safer apartment, scholarships she'd won, actually funded by Dae-hyun, that would cover her family's expenses. Her mother cried with relief, and Zara felt the weight she'd carried for years finally lighten. But she was also hyper-aware of the invisible cage around her. Ji-hoon was always there, kind, respectful, but constant. She saw Dae-hyun's men at her building, her workplace, near campus. She was protected, yes, but also watched, and the meeting with Seung-min loomed in her mind, a dangerous secret she kept from everyone. She also noticed something else developing, something she didn't want to acknowledge. Ji-hoon was falling for her. It was in the small things, how he brought her favorite coffee without being asked, how his eyes lingered on her face when he thought she wasn't looking, how he found excuses to make her laugh, how he looked personally hurt whenever she seemed sad. And worse, she was starting to care about him too. Not in the overwhelming, terrifying way she felt about Dae-hyun. That was like standing at the edge of a cliff, knowing one step would send her plummeting into dangerous depths. With Ji-hoon, it was gentler, safer. He made her feel protected without making her feel owned. He talked to her like an equal, asked her opinions, respected her boundaries. One evening, when he was teaching her basic self-defense moves in her apartment, just in case, he'd said, though they both knew his men would never let her be unprotected. Their practice got too close. She was supposed to break a hold, but she moved wrong and stumbled. Ji-hoon caught her, and suddenly they were pressed together, his arms around her waist, her hands on his chest, both breathing hard from exertion. "Sorry," he murmured, but he didn't let go immediately. "It's okay." She should step back, should maintain distance. Instead, she looked up into his eyes and saw everything he was trying to hide: longing, guilt, desire, warring with loyalty. "Ji-hoon, I should go." He released her quickly, stepping back like she'd burned him. "It's late. You should rest." "Wait." She didn't know what she was asking for, just that she didn't want him to leave. "Can we talk? Just talk?" He hesitated, then nodded. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, careful distance between them. "Tell me about yourself," Zara said. "All I know is that you work for Dae-hyun, and you're good at protecting people. Who are you when you're not being a bodyguard?" Ji-hoon was quiet for a long moment. "I don't know if there is a me outside of this life. I've been with Dae-hyun since I was 19. My father was a small-time enforcer for the Crimson Tigers, got killed in a territory dispute, left my mother and sister with nothing. Dae-hyun found out, paid for my sister's education, gave my mother a job in one of his legitimate businesses, and offered me a place in his organization. So you owe him your life. I owe him everything. My family's alive and thriving because of him. He's not just my boss. He's my brother, my best friend, the person I'd die for without hesitation." Ji-hoon looked at her directly. "Which is why what I'm feeling about you is complicated." Her heart stuttered. "What are you feeling?" "Things I have no right to feel. Things that betray him just by existing." He ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "You're under his protection. That makes you his, in the way of our world. I'm supposed to guard you, not—" He stopped himself. "Not what?" "Not want you." The admission hung in the air. "Not think about you constantly. Not wish things were different, that I'd met you first, that I wasn't bound by loyalty to a man who's falling for you himself." Zara's breath caught. "Dae-hyun is falling for me." "He's already fallen. He just won't admit it to himself or to you." Ji-hoon's voice was thick with emotion. "And I'm supposed to be okay with that. Supposed to smile and protect you and watch from a distance while he builds something with you. Because he's my Hyung, and I owe him everything. But you're not okay with it. I'm trying to be. God, I'm trying. But every day I spend with you, every conversation, every smile, You're making it impossible. He stood abruptly. This is wrong. I shouldn't have said anything. I'm your bodyguard, and that's all I should be. Ji-hoon, I need to go. Good night, Zara. He left quickly, and Zara sat alone in her apartment, her mind spinning. Two men, both dangerous in different ways, both wanting her, both impossible for different reasons. And tomorrow she was meeting with the third. God help her. The Starbucks in Gangnam Station was crowded, exactly what Zara had hoped for. Safety in numbers, witnesses everywhere. Impossible for anything violent to happen. Ji-hoon had been suspicious when she'd insisted on going out for coffee at this specific location, but she'd claimed she needed to meet a study group. The lie tasted bitter, but Seung-min had been right about one thing. If she told them, they'd stop her from going. She arrived 15 minutes early and chose a table with clear sightlines to all exits. Her business courses had included negotiation tactics, always control the terrain, always have an escape route. Ji-hoon sat 3 tables away, pretending to read on his phone, but watching her constantly. She felt guilty for deceiving him, but she needed answers. Needed to understand what Seung-min really wanted, why 3 dangerous men had become obsessed with her. At exactly 2 p.m., Choi Seung-min walked in. He was younger than she'd expected, maybe 31, handsome in a sharp, dangerous way. Expensive casual clothes, confident stride, a smile that didn't reach his eyes. He ordered a coffee, then approached her table like they were old friends. Miss Mensah, thank you for coming. He sat across from her, noting Ji-hoon's presence with an amused glance. Your loyal shadow. Does he report your every move to Dae-hyun? What do you want? Zara kept her voice low but firm. Straight to business. I respect that. Seung-min sipped his coffee. I want to offer you freedom. Real freedom, not the gilded cage Kang Dae-hyun has trapped you in. I'm not trapped. Aren't you? You live in his apartment, work at his company, have his men following you constantly. You can't make a move without his permission. That's not protection, Zara. That's control. Better his control than being kidnapped by your men. That was a mistake. Seung-min had the grace to look apologetic. My men overstepped. I wanted to meet you, offer you a choice, not terrify you. I've already punished them for their incompetence. Punish them? They're dead. Dae-hyun killed them. And that doesn't concern you? That he murdered 3 men over you? Seung-min leaned forward. What happens when you disappoint him, Zara? When you don't live up to whatever fantasy he's built in his head? Will he turn that violence on you? He wouldn't he? Do you really know him? Or do you just know the mask he shows you? Seung-min pulled out a tablet and slid it across the table. This is who Kang Dae-hyun really is. Zara looked down at surveillance photos, police reports, news articles. Images of crime scenes, bodies, destruction, evidence of years of violence, territory wars, ruthless elimination of rivals. Some of the photos were brutal. She had to look away. He's built his empire on blood, Seung-min said quietly. Hundreds have died by his order. He's not a protector, Zara. He's a predator who's decided you're his next possession. And you're different? I'm honest about what I am. I don't pretend to be noble. He closed the tablet. But I'm offering you something Dae-hyun never will, the truth and a choice. Come work for me. Not as property, not as a protected pet, but as a partner. You're studying international business? I need someone smart, someone who understands both Korean and international markets, someone untainted by underworld connections who can help me expand legitimately. You want to use me as a front? I want to offer you a career, real money, real power, real independence. Your family's expenses covered legitimately through salary and bonuses, not through a criminal's guilty conscience. And at the end of it, you walk away clean with experience, connections, and enough money to do whatever you want with your life. It sounded too good to be true, which meant it was. What's the real price? Seung-min smiled. Smart girl. The price is information. Tell me about Dae-hyun's operations. What you see, what you hear, what Ji-hoon let slip. Help me understand his weaknesses. In return, you get everything I promised, plus you get to hurt the man who's stolen your freedom. I don't want to hurt him. Don't you? He dragged you into this world, made you complicit in murder, trapped you in a life you never chose. Don't you resent him even a little? Zara wanted to say no, wanted to defend Dae-hyun, to explain that his protection came from genuine care, not possessiveness. But she couldn't, because Seung-min was right about one thing. She did resent the loss of control, the way her life had been reshaped by forces beyond her influence. I need time to think, she said finally. Of course, but Zara. Seung-min stood, preparing to leave. Time is limited. Every day you stay in Dae-hyun's cage, you become more complicit in his crimes. Eventually, you won't be the innocent victim anymore. You'll be his accomplice. And when everything falls apart, and it will, you'll go down with him. He left before she could respond. Ji-hoon was at her table within seconds. Who was that? Zara's mind raced. She could lie, but Ji-hoon wasn't stupid. Choi Seung-min. The color drained from Ji-hoon's face. What? Zara, why would you? How did he? He grabbed her arm, not rough but urgent. We need to leave. Now. If he's here, there could be. It's fine. It was just a conversation. A public meeting. She pulled her arm free. He made me an offer. An offer? Ji-hoon looked like she'd slapped him. Zara, he's a snake. Whatever he promised is a lie designed to manipulate you. Is it? Because he offered me exactly what I lost when I entered your world. Choice, independence, a future I control. He's using you to hurt Dae-hyun. And Dae-hyun isn't using me? Isn't keeping me close because I'm his now? Zara's frustration finally boiled over. I'm not a person to any of you, am I? I'm just a playing piece in your gang politics. Dae-hyun wants to protect me. You want me, but can't have me. Seung-min wants to use me. But none of you actually care what I want. That's not fair, isn't it? She stood, grabbing her bag. I appreciate everything you and Dae-hyun have done. I do. But I'm suffocating, Ji-hoon. I can't breathe. I can't make a single decision without wondering if it'll start a gang war. I can't even go to Starbucks without deceiving my bodyguard. This isn't a life. It's a prison with nice furniture. Zara, please. Ji-hoon's voice cracked. Don't do this. Don't push us away. Don't trust Seung-min. He'll destroy you. Maybe I'm already destroyed. She walked away before he could see her tears. Ji-hoon called Dae-hyun immediately. We have a problem. Seung-min contacted Zara. They just met. Public place, nothing happened. But Hyung, she's angry. She's considering his offer. There was a long, dangerous silence on the other end. Where is she now? Heading back to the apartment. I'm following at a distance. She's shutting down, Hyung. We're losing her. No, I won't lose her. Dae-hyun's voice was steel. I'm coming. Don't let her out of your sight. 30 minutes later, Dae-hyun arrived at Zara's apartment. He didn't knock, just used his key, of course he had a key, and walked in to find her standing at the window, arms wrapped around herself. You met with Seung-min. Not a question. Yes. Without telling me. Without protection beyond Ji-hoon. Knowing he tried to kidnap you 2 weeks ago. His voice was carefully controlled, which somehow made it more terrifying. Do you have any idea how reckless that was? I needed answers. Zara turned to face him. I needed to understand why 3 powerful men suddenly care so much about one ordinary woman. So yes, I met with him. And you know what? He made sense. More sense than you do sometimes. Dae-hyun's jaw tightened. What did he offer you? Freedom. A job. Real independence. The ability to make my own choices. Everything you've taken from me. I haven't taken anything. You've taken everything. The words exploded out of her. My apartment, my jobs, my ability to walk down the street without armed guards. You moved me like a chess piece, reorganized my entire life, and never once asked what I wanted. You just decided you knew better, decided I needed saving, decided I was yours to protect. Because you do need protection. Seung-min proved that. Seung-min came after me because of you. All of this is because of you, Dae-hyun. My life was hard before, but it was mine. Now I don't even know what it is anymore. They stood in heavy silence, both breathing hard. Finally, Dae-hyun spoke, his voice raw. You're right. Zara blinked. What? You're right. I took your choices away. I reorganized your life to fit my needs. I trapped you in a cage and called it protection. He moved closer, and she could see exhaustion and pain in his eyes. But I can't regret it, Zara, because the alternative was watching you struggle, watching you starve yourself to send money home, watching you work yourself into an early grave. Or worse, watching Seung-min take you and use you and destroy you. So you did it first. No, I gave you safety, resources, the ability to actually build the life you came to Seoul for. His voice gentled. But I understand why that feels like imprisonment. I understand why you resent me. And I'm sorry, truly sorry, that I couldn't find a way to protect you that didn't cost you your freedom. Then let me go. The words came out as a whisper. If you really care about me, let me make my own choices. Let me decide my own future. Even if that future includes Seung-min? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe not. But it should be my decision, not yours. Dae-hyun was quiet for a long moment. Then he did something that shocked her. He pulled a key from his pocket and set it on her counter. This is my master key to this apartment. I'm leaving it here. I won't enter without your permission again. I'll also pull back half the security detail. You'll still have protection, but it'll be more discreet. You want independence? I'll give you as much as I safely can. Really? Really? But Zara, he stepped closer, and his intensity made her breath catch. I need you to understand something. I'm not doing this because I respect your choice. I'm doing this because I'm desperate to keep you. If giving you space means you stay safe and don't run to Seung-min, then I'll give you space. But make no mistake, I'm not letting you go. I'm just changing my approach. That's still control. Yes, because in my world, the alternative to control is chaos and death. I'm trying to find a balance, trying to give you as much freedom as I can while keeping you alive. That's the best I can offer." He turned to leave, then stopped at the door. "One more thing. You want to know why we care? Why three dangerous men are suddenly obsessed with one ordinary woman?" He looked back at her. "Because you're not ordinary, Zara. You're extraordinary. You're kind in a world that rewards cruelty. You're honest in a world built on lies. You're innocent in a way that makes men like me remember what we've lost. And yes, that makes you valuable in underworld politics. But it also makes you valuable in a way that has nothing to do with strategy or leverage." "What way?" "You make us want to be better than we are. And that's the most dangerous thing in the world." After he left, Zara sat on her couch and tried to process everything. The key sat on the counter, a symbolic gesture of trust that meant more than any speech. Her phone buzzed, a text from Ji-hoon. "I'm in the lobby if you need anything. I'm sorry for making you feel trapped. That was never my intention." Then another text from an unknown number she now recognized as Seung-min. "Think about my offer, but think fast. Dae-hyun won't stay patient forever, and when he snaps, everyone around him suffers. Don't be collateral damage, Zara." She looked at her hands. The bandages were off now, just faint scars remaining, physical evidence of the violence that had entered her life. 3 men, 3 different paths, all leading to danger. Dae-hyun, who wanted to protect her so desperately it became possession. Ji-hoon, who wanted her but was bound by loyalty to the man he owed everything. Seung-min, who wanted to use her but at least was honest about it. And Zara, caught in the middle, trying to figure out who she was in this new reality. Was she still the hardworking student from Ghana? Or had she become someone else entirely? Someone who accepted apartments from criminals, who understood why murder might be necessary, who was starting to see the world in shades of gray instead of black and white. Her phone rang. Her mother. "Zara, I have wonderful news. Your brother got accepted to university, and the scholarship you told me about came through. Everything is covered. Oh, my darling, you've saved us. You've saved our whole family." Zara listened to her mother cry with joy and felt her own tears falling. Everything she'd wanted, her family safe, educated, thriving, was happening. Because of Dae-hyun's money, because she'd accepted help from a criminal. Was that wrong? Or was morality more complicated than she'd been taught? After the call, Zara made a decision. She wouldn't run to Seung-min. His offer was poison, wrapped in pretty promises, but she wouldn't fully surrender to Dae-hyun's protection either. She would find a third path, her own path, even if she had to carve it out of impossible circumstances. She was Zara Mensah. She'd survived poverty, loss, loneliness, and now gang politics. She would survive this too, on her own terms. The next morning, Zara woke to find Ji-hoon in her building's lobby, looking like he'd been there all night. "Did you sleep at all?" she asked. "Couldn't. I was afraid you'd disappear, or that Seung-min would try something, or that—" He stopped himself. "I'm sorry. I'm being overprotective again." "It's okay. I understand why." She sat beside him on the lobby couch. "Ji-hoon, I need to ask you something. And I need an honest answer. Anything. If Dae-hyun wasn't in the picture, if you weren't bound by loyalty, would you still want me?" He went very still. "Zara, That's not a fair question, but it's an important one, because I need to know if what you're feeling is real or if it's just forbidden fruit syndrome, wanting what you can't have. Ji-hoon looked at her for a long moment, and she saw everything in his eyes. Longing, guilt, love, despair. It's real, he said quietly. God help me. It's so real, it's killing me. Every day I spend with you, I fall harder. Every smile, every conversation, every moment you trust me with your safety. I'm drowning, Zara. And the worst part is that I can't even hate Dae-hyun for claiming you first, because he's my brother, and I owe him everything, and he's falling for you just as hard as I am. So what do we do? I don't know. In our world, there's no good answer. Either I betray the man who saved my life, or I watch you build something with him while my heart breaks. Either way, I lose. Zara reached out and took his hand, the first time she'd initiated contact. What if there was a third option? There isn't. What if I didn't choose either of you? What if I just existed, lived my life, finished my degree, stayed under protection, but maintained my independence? You and Dae-hyun would both still be in my life, but neither of you would own me. I'd be my own person, making my own choices. Ji-hoon considered it. That might actually work, for a while at least. But eventually, Zara, you'll have to choose. Dae-hyun won't wait forever, and I can't live in this limbo indefinitely. Then we'll deal with that when it comes. For now, can we just be friends? Real friends, not bodyguard and assignment? Ji-hoon smiled sadly. I can try, but Zara, you should know that being your friend while wanting more is the sweetest kind of torture I've ever experienced. I know, I'm sorry. Don't be. Even torture is better than losing you completely. 3 months passed in uneasy equilibrium. Zara attended her classes, worked at the trading company, slowly rebuilt a sense of normalcy. Dae-hyun kept his word. The security was more discreet. He always knocked before entering. He gave her space while making sure she knew he was still there, still protecting, still impossibly invested in her well-being. Ji-hoon became her closest friend, though both of them felt the constant undercurrent of everything they couldn't say. He taught her Korean slang, helped with her business assignments, made her laugh when the weight of her situation became too heavy. And every night, he left her apartment with that same look of longing and resignation. Seung-min went quiet, which should have been a relief, but instead felt ominous. Zara even started to believe she could navigate this impossible situation, maintain her independence while accepting protection, keep both men at arm's length while appreciating their care, finish her degree, and eventually transition out of this underworld entanglement. She should have known better. The first sign of disaster came on a Tuesday evening. Zara was working late at the trading company, reviewing shipping manifests for legitimate imports. Ironic how she'd become genuinely good at the cover business. Ji-hoon was waiting in the lobby as usual, and Dae-hyun had texted earlier to say he'd be in a meeting with the other bosses until midnight. Her phone rang, unknown number, but a Ghanaian country code. Hello? Zara Mensah. A man's voice, Ghanaian accent, but something wrong in the tone. We have your mother. The world stopped. What? Your mother. She's with us now. Unharmed, for the moment. If you want her to stay that way, you'll do exactly as I say. No, this isn't. My mother is in Ghana. She's safe. Was in Ghana. We collected her this morning. Now she's in Seoul, in a location you'll never find. And if you want to see her alive again, you'll come to the address I'm sending you. Alone. No bodyguards. No calling your mafia boyfriend. No police. Just you. You have 2 hours. Please, she has nothing to do with 2 hours, Zara. The countdown starts now. The line went dead. A text came through immediately. An address in Yongsan, a warehouse district, and a photo that made Zara's blood run cold. Her mother, tied to a chair, terror in her eyes, but clearly alive. Behind her stood men in masks, and in the corner of the frame, deliberately visible, was Choi Seung-min smiling at the camera. Zara's hands shook so badly she nearly dropped her phone. Her mother, they had her mother, had brought her to Seoul, kidnapped her, were using her as leverage. Every instinct screamed to call Dae-hyun, to get Ji-hoon, to mobilize the protection she'd been given. But the text came again. Cameras on your building, your work, everywhere. We're watching. If we see any of Kang's men mobilize, if you make any calls, your mother dies. Come alone, or don't come at all. Zara stood there in the empty office, her mind racing through impossible calculations. If she went alone, they'd probably kill her. If she called for help, they'd kill her mother. If she did nothing, her mother would die, and she'd have to live with that guilt forever. No good options, only terrible choices. She looked at her phone, at Ji-hoon's location tracker showing him in the lobby, at Dae-hyun's contact information, 1 call away from deploying an army. Then she looked at her mother's terrified face in that photo. Zara made her choice. She typed a text to Ji-hoon. Need to run to the pharmacy for feminine products. Will be quick, just around the corner. Don't follow, it's embarrassing. His response, okay, but text me when you're heading back. She felt sick lying to him, but what choice did she have? Zara gathered her things, left through the building's side entrance, and hailed a taxi to Yongsan. She was going to save her mother, even if it cost her everything. The warehouse was exactly as ominous as she'd expected. Abandoned, isolated, the kind of place where screams wouldn't carry. Zara approached on foot, after dismissing the taxi 3 blocks away, her heart hammering, every survival instinct screaming at her to run. But her mother was inside. 2 guards at the entrance patted her down for weapons, phones, anything. They confiscated her phone and pushed her inside. The main floor was a nightmare. Dozens of men, all armed, all wearing silver serpent colors. In the center, tied to a chair exactly like the photo, was her mother. Mama! Zara ran forward, but rough hands grabbed her, holding her back. Zara, baby, no! Her mother was crying, struggling against her bonds. Why did you come? They said they'd let me go if you came, but I told them no. I told them my daughter would never. Touching, really. Seung-min emerged from the shadows, immaculate in an expensive suit that looked obscene in this grimy warehouse. The love between mother and daughter, it's beautiful, also exploitable, which is why it's my favorite kind of love. Let her go. Zara's voice shook, but held firm. You wanted me. You have me. She has nothing to do with this. She has everything to do with this. She's your weakness, Zara. The reason you came alone. The reason you didn't call Kang Dae-hyun for help. Seung-min circled them like a predator. Do you know how much effort it took to arrange this? Flying her to Seoul, keeping it quiet, ensuring Dae-hyun's considerable intelligence network didn't catch wind. but I managed. Because you, my dear, are worth the investment. What do you want? What I've wanted from the beginning. Information about Dae-hyun's operations, passwords, shipment schedules, client lists, financial records, everything you've seen working at his company. Seung-min pulled out a tablet. You give me what I need, and I let you both walk out of here. Simple transaction. I don't have access to that kind of information. Don't lie. You've been working there for 3 months. You're smart, observant. You've seen things, heard things, and even if you haven't, Dae-hyun trusts you. You can get access. His voice hardened. So you'll give me what I want, or I'll start hurting your mother. Slowly, creatively, until you cooperate. Zara, don't! Her mother struggled. Don't give him anything. These men are evil. One of the guards hit her mother across the face, and Zara screamed, Stop! Stop it! I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt her. That's better. Seung-min gestured, and someone brought a laptop. Start with the shipping schedules. I know there's a major import coming next week. Weapons, probably, or drugs. I want the details. Zara's mind raced. She did know about the shipment, had processed the paperwork herself, though the manifest had been obviously falsified. If she gave Seung-min that information, he could intercept it, cripple Dae-hyun's operations, maybe start a war that would get dozens killed. But if she didn't, they'd torture her mother, betrayal or murder. Those were her options. I need time to remember the access codes. You have 5 minutes. Then we start cutting off your mother's fingers. No, please. Her mother met her eyes, and despite the terror and pain, there was something else there. Strength. The same strength that had raised 4 children alone, that had survived poverty and loss, that had sent her eldest daughter to a foreign country with blessings and pride. Zara, baby, listen to me, her mother said in Ga, their native language. Don't betray good people to save me. I've lived a full life. You have your whole future. Don't stain your soul for me. I can't let them hurt you. Then you're not as strong as I raised you to be. Her mother smiled through bloody teeth. Be strong now, baby. Be the woman your father would be proud of. Zara felt tears streaming down her face. Her mother was telling her not to cooperate, to let her die rather than compromise her integrity. It was an impossible ask. How touching, Seung-min said, clearly not understanding Ga. But your time is up. So what's it going to be, Zara? Your mother's life? Or your loyalty to a criminal who's only kept you around because you're convenient leverage? Before Zara could answer, the warehouse doors exploded inward. Dae-hyun entered like a avenging angel of death. Ji-hoon at his side, 30 armed men flooding in behind them. Gunfire erupted immediately. Seung-min's men returning fire, chaos and smoke and violence filling the warehouse. Get down! Ji-hoon tackled Zara to the ground, covering her body with his own as bullets whizzed overhead. Through the chaos, Zara saw Dae-hyun moving with terrifying efficiency, shooting, advancing, every movement precise and lethal. He wasn't just a boss sending men into battle. He was a warrior himself, and his fury was biblical. Get Zara and her mother out, Dae-hyun roared to Ji-hoon. Now, Ji-hoon grabbed Zara and pulled her toward where her mother was tied. One of Dae-hyun's men was already cutting the bonds, lifting her mother carefully. I'm sorry, Zara sobbed to Ji-hoon as he hauled her toward the exit. I'm so sorry. I had to come alone. He said he'd kill her. I know. It's okay. We tracked your phone's last location before they took it. Ji-hoon's voice was tight with fear and adrenaline. Dae-hyun lost his mind when he realized what you'd done. He mobilized everyone, called in every favor, violated every territory agreement, started a war he can't afford, all to get you back. They made it outside to waiting vehicles. Zara's mother was loaded into one car with a medic, and Ji-hoon was pushing Zara toward another when she heard it. A single gunshot, different from the chaos inside. Then Dae-hyun's voice, roaring in pain and rage. No! Zara tried to run back, but Ji-hoon held her. Dae-hyun is inside. We have to. He can handle himself. He's hurt. I hurt him. Let me go. More of Dae-hyun's men were pouring into the warehouse as backup. The gunfire was dying down. And then, finally, Ji-hoon's radio crackled. Boss is hit. Shoulder wound, not critical, but he's bleeding. We need the medic. Zara wrenched free from Ji-hoon and ran back inside before he could stop her. The warehouse was a massacre. Bodies everywhere, most wearing silver serpent colors, a few from the Crimson Tigers. Seung-min himself was on his knees, surrounded, bleeding from multiple wounds, but alive. And Dae-hyun stood in the center of it all, his left shoulder soaked in blood, his gun trained on Seung-min, his face a mask of cold fury. Hyung, don't! Ji-hoon had followed Zara in. If you kill him now, the Silver Serpents will never stop coming. We need to negotiate. He took her. Dae-hyun's voice was eerily calm. He kidnapped her mother. He threatened to torture them both. Negotiation is over. Dae-hyun, please. Zara stepped forward, and his eyes snapped to her. The fury dimmed slightly, replaced by relief and something else. Fear that she'd been hurt. Please don't kill him. Not like this. Not because of me. He deserves death. Maybe. But I don't want more blood on my conscience. I don't want to be the reason for more death. She moved closer, slowly, like approaching a wild animal. You're hurt. You're bleeding. Let Ji-hoon handle this. Let's just go home, please. For a long moment, Dae-hyun didn't move. Then, slowly, he lowered his gun. You're right, he said quietly. Then he turned to Seung-min, and his voice dropped to a lethal whisper. You live today because she asked me to spare you. Remember that. Remember that a woman you tried to torture showed you more mercy than you deserved. And if you ever come near her or her family again, there is no mercy. There is no negotiation. There is only death. Slow, painful, absolute. Do you understand? Seung-min, bleeding and defeated, nodded. Get him out of my sight, Dae-hyun told his men. Then he swayed slightly, the blood loss catching up to him. Zara and Ji-hoon both moved to support him, and together they got him outside to the waiting medics. The safe house they retreated to was a luxury estate outside Seoul, heavily guarded, isolated, impossible to breach. Zara's mother was given the master bedroom with around-the-clock medical care for her injuries. Dae-hyun was treated in a makeshift medical suite, the bullet removed from his shoulder, his wounds stitched and bandaged. Zara sat by his bedside while he slept, exhausted from blood loss and battle. Ji-hoon stood guard at the door, refusing to rest, even though he'd been in the thick of the fighting himself. This is my fault, Zara whispered, not sure if she was talking to Dae-hyun's unconscious form or to Ji-hoon. All of this, the war, the deaths, his injury, It's all because of me. It's because of Seung-min, Ji-hoon corrected quietly. He made the choice to escalate. He could have left you alone. Instead, he tried to use you as a weapon, and it backfired catastrophically. Dae-hyun started a war for me, violated territory agreements, mobilized his entire organization, risked everything. Because you're worth it to him. Ji-hoon moved closer. Zara, you need to understand something. In the 8 years I've known him, I've never seen Dae-hyun lose control. He's always calculating, always strategic, always 3 steps ahead. But today, he was wild, desperate. He would have burned down all of Seoul to get you back. That's not love. That's obsession. Maybe it's both. Ji-hoon knelt beside her chair. And maybe I'm just as bad, because when I realized you were gone, when I understood you'd walked into a trap to save your mother, I was ready to tear the city apart too. We both were. Zara looked at him, this man who'd become her friend and protector and something more complicated than either. Ji-hoon, I know I have no right to feel this way. I know he saw you first, claimed you first, that loyalty demands I step aside. His voice cracked. But Zara, if something had happened to you today, if we'd been even 5 minutes later, I don't know how I would have survived it. Nothing happened. I'm fine. You're not fine. The words burst out of him. You walked into a death trap alone because you thought you had no choice. You were seconds away from being forced to betray Dae-hyun or watch your mother die. You went through hell today, and you're sitting here acting like it's nothing. Like you're not traumatized. Like you're not breaking. I can't afford to break. Zara's voice rose to match his. If I break, if I fall apart, then what happens? My mother needs me. You and Dae-hyun need me to be strong. Everyone needs me to just keep functioning. She was crying now. Huge, gasping sobs she'd been holding back for hours. Ji-hoon pulled her into his arms, and Zara collapsed against his chest, finally letting herself shatter. He held her while she cried, one hand stroking her hair, murmuring comfort in Korean and broken English. You're allowed to fall apart, he whispered. You're allowed to be scared and angry and overwhelmed. You don't have to be strong every second. Not with me. They had my mother. They were going to hurt her. I know. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry we didn't get there sooner. Dae-hyun got shot because of me. Dae-hyun got shot because he walked into a firefight to save you, and he'd do it again in a heartbeat. We both would. Zara pulled back to look at him, her face wet with tears. Why? Why do you both care so much about someone you barely know? Ji-hoon cupped her face gently. Because in a world full of darkness and violence and moral compromise, you're light. You're goodness. You walked into our lives and reminded us that better things exist. And maybe we're selfish for wanting to keep you, for not letting you go even when staying puts you in danger. But, his voice broke. But I can't lose you, Zara. Even if I can never have you, I can't lose you. They were so close now, his breath on her lips, his eyes dark with longing and guilt and love. Ji-hoon, she whispered. We can't. I know. Dae-hyun is right there. I know. This is wrong. I know. But neither of them pulled away. The kiss, when it happened, was inevitable and terrible and perfect. Ji-hoon kissed her like a drowning man finding air, and Zara kissed him back with all the fear and adrenaline and confusion of the worst day of her life. It was wrong. It was betrayal. It was, so this is what loyalty looks like now. They broke apart to find Dae-hyun awake, watching them from the bed, his eyes cold and hurt and furious. Hyung! Ji-hoon stepped back, his face pale. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, get out. Hyung, please let me explain. Get out. Dae-hyun's voice was lethal. Now, before I forget, you're my brother, and remember you just betrayed me. Ji-hoon looked at Zara, agony in his eyes, then left quickly. And Zara was alone with Dae-hyun, who looked at her like his heart was breaking in real time. I got shot for you today, he said quietly. Started a war for you, risked everything I've built for you, and this is... He gestured to where she and Ji-hoon had been. This is what I get in return? I'm sorry. Sorry? His laugh was bitter. I've given you everything, Zara. Protection, resources, freedom within reason. I've bent every rule I have trying to make you happy, and you kiss my best friend, the one person whose loyalty I thought was absolute. It was a mistake. Was it? Or is this what you've wanted all along? Safe, gentle Ji-hoon instead of dangerous, damaged me? Dae-hyun tried to sit up, winced from his shoulder wound. Maybe Seung-min was right. Maybe you do see me as a monster. No, I don't. Then explain. Explain why, on the worst day of your life, when you could have come to me for comfort, you chose him. Zara opened her mouth and realized she had no good answer. Because the truth was complicated. She cared about Ji-hoon, was drawn to him in ways she couldn't explain. But she also cared about Dae-hyun, was drawn to his darkness and his vulnerability in equal measure. She was falling for both of them, and there was no way this ended without someone getting destroyed. I don't know what I'm doing, she admitted finally. I don't know what I feel, what I want, how to navigate any of this. All I know is that today, I almost lost my mother, almost betrayed you, almost died myself. And I'm scared and overwhelmed, and I don't know how to be what either of you need. Dae-hyun was quiet for a long time. Then he said, Go check on your mother. Make sure she's okay. We'll talk about this later when I'm not bleeding and you're not in shock. Dae-hyun, please, Zara, just go, before I say something I can't take back. She left, feeling like she was abandoning him, but also knowing he needed space. In the hallway, Ji-hoon was waiting, leaning against the wall, looking devastated. I'm sorry, he said immediately. That was inexcusable. I betrayed him, betrayed your trust, betrayed everything. Stop. Zara was too tired for this. We both made that choice. We're both responsible, and we both have to live with the consequences. What do we do now? I don't know. But Ji-hoon? That can't happen again. Whatever this is between us, it can't exist. Dae-hyun is your brother, and I don't even know what I am to either of you anymore. You're everything, Ji-hoon said quietly. To both of us, and that's the problem. The next 3 days were tense hell. Zara spent most of her time with her mother, who was recovering physically but traumatized by the kidnapping and violence. Explaining everything to her, the Mafia protection, the gang wars, the impossible situation, had been one of the hardest conversations of Zara's life. My baby, her mother had said, holding Zara's face in her bandaged hands. You've been carrying all this alone? Why didn't you tell me? Because you would have worried. Because you would have told me to come home. I should tell you that now. Come home to Ghana. Forget Seoul. Forget these dangerous men. I can't. Zara realized the truth as she said it. Mama, if I run now, Seung-min or someone like him will use you and the others to get to me anyway. The only way to keep you all safe is to stay under Dae-hyun's protection. At least here, I have power, resources, options. Her mother studied her carefully. You care about them, these two men. I don't know what I feel. Yes, you do. You just don't want to admit it because it's complicated. Her mother smiled sadly. Love is always complicated, baby. But these men, they're criminals. They kill people. They live in darkness. I know. But Mama, they also saved your life. Saved mine. They're not good men, but they're not completely evil either. Zara struggled to explain. Dae-hyun funds orphanages and schools anonymously. Ji-hoon sends money to his widowed mother and sister every month. They have codes, rules, lines they won't cross. In their world, that matters. But can you love a man whose hands are stained with blood? That was the question, wasn't it? Zara didn't have an answer. Dae-hyun was recovering from his gunshot wound, but refused to rest properly. From his makeshift office in the estate, he was managing the fallout from the Silver Serpent attack, coordinating with other bosses, reinforcing security, preparing for potential retaliation. He also wasn't speaking to Ji-hoon. The betrayal had cut deep, not just the kiss, but the violation of trust between brothers. Ji-hoon had tried multiple times to apologize, to explain, to make amends. Dae-hyun simply walked away each time, his face a mask of cold fury. Let him cool down, one of the older lieutenants advised Ji-hoon. He'll forgive you eventually. You're like family. I don't think he will this time, Ji-hoon said quietly. I crossed a line, broke something that can't be fixed. Watching them hurt worse than anything else. Zara had destroyed the friendship between two men who'd been brothers for 8 years, and she didn't know how to fix it. On the 4th day, Dae-hyun finally called her to his office. He looked exhausted, the wound healing but still painful, the stress of managing a near war taking its toll. When she entered, he gestured to a chair across from his desk, maintaining careful distance. We need to discuss your future, he said formally, like she was a business problem to solve, rather than a person he'd almost died protecting. Okay. Your mother's visa expires in 2 weeks. I've arranged an extension, but Korea isn't safe for her long term. I'm recommending she return to Ghana with a security detail, 3 men, rotated monthly, to ensure Seung-min doesn't make another attempt. That's very thorough. Thank you. Your siblings are also being assigned protection. Discreet, but present. Anyone who tries to use your family as leverage again will face immediate consequences. He slid a folder across the desk. This contains new account information, money for your family, a trust fund for your siblings' education, healthcare coverage. It's all legitimate income, properly taxed, cannot be traced back to criminal operations. Zara stared at the folder. It represented everything she'd been working toward. Her family secure, educated, thriving. Why are you doing this? Because protecting you means protecting what you love. Your family's safety is your safety. That's not what I mean. Why are you still helping me after... She gestured vaguely, after what happened with Ji-hoon. For the first time, emotion cracked through Dae-hyun's formal facade. Because despite everything, despite the betrayal and the hurt and the anger, I still care about you. I still want you safe. That doesn't just turn off because you have feelings for someone else. I don't know what I feel. Don't lie, not to me. His voice was gentle but firm. You have feelings for Ji-hoon. I watched you kiss him. I saw the way you looked at him. And it destroyed me, Zara. Absolutely destroyed me. But it doesn't change the fact that you deserve protection, that your family deserves safety, that you came into my life and made me want to be better. So what happens now? Dae-hyun stood and walked to the window, his back to her. I'm releasing you from protection. Zara's heart stopped. What? Not entirely. You'll still have security. That's non-negotiable given Seung-min's vendetta. But I'm stepping back. No more personal involvement. No more whatever this was between us. You'll have a security team that reports to my organization, but I won't be the one coordinating it. I won't be the one checking on you, worrying about you, inserting myself into your life. Why? Because I can't do this anymore. He turned to face her, and the pain in his eyes was devastating. I can't watch you fall for my best friend while pretending I'm fine with it. I can't be near you without wanting things I can't have. I can't keep my organization running effectively when half my mind is consumed with your safety and happiness. So I'm doing what I should have done from the beginning. I'm letting you go. But I said I wouldn't let you go. I was wrong. Sometimes letting go is the most loving thing you can do. Dae-hyun moved closer, and despite everything, Zara felt the pull of him, the danger and vulnerability and broken nobility. I'm not a good man, Zara. I've done terrible things, but I'm good enough to recognize when my presence in your life is causing more harm than help. You deserve better than being caught between two men who can't control their feelings. You deserve to finish your degree, build your career, choose your own path without mafia politics complicating everything. What about Ji-hoon? What about him? Is he still part of your organization? For now, but I'm sending him to Busan to oversee operations there. Distance will help. For all of us. Dae-hyun's jaw tightened. He broke my trust, but he's still my brother. I can't execute him for falling in love, even if the person he fell for was. He stopped himself. I need time. Space. Maybe eventually I can forgive him. This is my fault. I should be punished, not him. You're not at fault for having feelings. Neither is he. We're all just. Dae-hyun smiled bitterly. We're all just casualties of impossible circumstances. Wrong people, wrong time, wrong world. Zara felt tears threatening. So this is it? You're just done with me? I have to be, for both our sakes. He moved to his desk, putting furniture between them like a barrier. You'll be set up in a new apartment. Bigger, nicer, truly yours. Security detail that's professional but not intrusive. Continued employment at the company if you want it, or I can arrange something else. Your family will be protected. You'll have everything you need to build the life you came to Seoul for. Except you. The words hung in the air, heavier than she'd intended. Dae-hyun's control finally cracked. Please don't make this harder than it already is. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. For the kiss. For hurting you. For being the reason you and Ji-hoon are broken. Zara. He moved around the desk, close enough to touch, but maintaining distance. You have nothing to apologize for. You were honest about your feelings. That's more than most people manage. I'm the one who should apologize. For pulling you into this world, for making you a target, for falling for you when I had no right to. You had every right. No, you're 22, innocent, deserved someone good and normal. Not a 35-year-old crime lord who's done unspeakable things. Ji-hoon is better for you. Younger, kinder, capable of leaving this life eventually. If you have to choose one of us, choose him. At least then some good comes from this mess. What if I don't want to choose? Then you're wiser than both of us combined. Dae-hyun reached out slowly and tucked a lock of hair behind her ear. The same gentle gesture from months ago, but weighted now with goodbye. Be happy, Zara. Build your life. Save the world with your business degree. And if you're ever in danger, if you ever need anything, you call me. I'll still come. I'll always come. That doesn't change just because we can't be together. Dae-hyun, this meeting is over. Ji-hoon will coordinate your move to the new apartment. His voice caught. I've already said goodbye more times than I can handle. Please don't make me do it again. Zara stood there, wanting to argue, to fight, to somehow fix the unfixable. But what could she say? That she wanted both of them, that she couldn't choose, that she was falling for a dangerous crime lord and his loyal soldier simultaneously and didn't know how to stop. Instead, she did the only thing she could. She left. In the hallway, Ji-hoon was waiting, his bags packed. You're leaving too? Her voice came out small, broken. Busan assignment. Dae-hyun thinks distance will help. Ji-hoon looked as miserable as she felt. He's not wrong. Being near you while not being able to, it's torture, Zara. So everyone just leaves? That's the solution? What's the alternative? We keep destroying each other slowly. We keep pretending there's a version of this that doesn't end in disaster. Ji-hoon stepped closer. I love you. I'm in love with you. But you're also the one thing I can never have, because having you means betraying the man who saved my life. There's no happy ending here. Then what do? We do what Dae-hyun said. We let you go. We give you space to build your life without us complicating everything. And maybe, eventually, you'll forget us. His smile was heartbreaking. Or maybe you'll find someone good, someone who isn't stained by this world, and you'll be happy. That's all we want, Zara, for you to be happy. What if my happiness involves you? Both of you. Ji-hoon kissed her forehead gently, a gesture of goodbye. Then we're all doomed, because that's the one thing we can't give you. He left, and Zara stood alone in that empty hallway of a fortified estate, feeling like she'd lost everything. But Zara Mensah had not survived poverty, loss, loneliness, and gang politics by accepting defeat. She spent that night thinking, really thinking, about everything that had happened. About the impossible situation she'd been thrust into, and the impossible men who'd become so important to her. Dae-hyun thought letting her go was noble. Ji-hoon thought distance was necessary. Both of them were making decisions for her without consulting her. Sound familiar? By morning, Zara had a plan. It was crazy, probably wouldn't work, and might blow up in her face spectacularly. But she was tired of being a passive participant in her own life. She called Dae-hyun's office. I need a meeting. You, Ji-hoon, me, before he leaves for Busan. I'm not asking. I'm telling you, both of you have made decisions about my life and my future without actually asking what I want. So now you're going to sit down and listen. 1 hour. conference room, both of you. Or I walk away from all of this, protection, security, everything, and take my chances with Seung-min myself. Zara, that's not a negotiation tactic. That's suicide. Then I guess you better take my meeting seriously. She hung up before he could respond. 60 minutes later, she walked into the conference room to find both men waiting, sitting on opposite sides of the table, not looking at each other. Zara sat at the head of the table and took a breath. For 4 months, both of you have been making decisions about my life. Where I live, where I work, who protects me, what's safe for me. And I let you, because I was scared and overwhelmed and didn't know how to navigate this world. She met their eyes one at a time. But I'm done being passive. I'm done being something you protect, or possess, or fight over. So here's what's going to happen. Both men stared at her, shocked into silence by her tone. I'm finishing my degree. That's non-negotiable. I'm going to graduate, build my career, and become the successful businesswoman I came to Seoul to be. You can provide security if you must, but it will be professional and discreet. She looked at Dae-hyun. I'm not your redemption project. I'm not here to save you or fix you or make you feel human again. If you want to be in my life, it's because we choose each other, not because you decided I'm yours to protect. Dae-hyun nodded slowly, something like respect dawning in his eyes. Zara turned to Ji-hoon. And you don't get to martyr yourself out of loyalty. You don't get to run to Busan and pine dramatically while pretending it's noble. If you have feelings for me, you fight for them. You tell Dae-hyun the truth. You stop treating me like I'm some prize in a loyalty contest. Zara, Ji-hoon started. I'm not finished. She stood, needing the height advantage. Here's the truth neither of you want to hear. I have feelings for both of you. Different feelings, complicated feelings, but real. Dae-hyun, you're dangerous and damaged, and you make me feel things I shouldn't. Ji-hoon, you're kind and loyal, and you make me feel safe in a world that's anything but. And I don't know how to choose between you, or if I even should have to. You can't have both of us, Dae-hyun said quietly. That's not how this works. Why not? The question hung in the air. Because, Ji-hoon struggled. Because that's not, people don't, it would destroy our friendship, our organization, everything. Your friendship is already destroyed, Zara interrupted. You already resent each other because of me. So what's the alternative? I choose one of you, and the other suffers. I choose neither, and you both suffer. Everyone suffers no matter what. So why not at least be honest about what we all want? What are you suggesting? Dae-hyun's voice was carefully neutral. I'm suggesting we stop pretending there's a clean solution to this mess. I'm suggesting that maybe, in a world as dark and complicated as yours, traditional rules don't apply. I'm suggesting, she took a breath, I'm suggesting we figure this out together. All three of us, honestly, without anyone making unilateral decisions or running away or martyring themselves. You want both of us? It wasn't a question from Dae-hyun, just a statement of fact. I don't know what I want, but I know what I don't want. I don't want either of you sacrificing your happiness for some misguided sense of nobility. I don't want to choose between you and regret it forever. I don't want to lose both of you because the situation is complicated. Ji-hoon and Dae-hyun looked at each other for the first time in days. Really looked. Years of friendship and brotherhood and betrayal passing between them silently. Finally, Dae-hyun spoke. Ji-hoon, honestly, no loyalty, no obligation. Do you love her? Yes. No hesitation. I love her. I'm in love with her. I have been for months. And you knew I was falling for her too. Yes. And I hated myself for it. But I couldn't stop. Dae-hyun nodded slowly, then turned to Zara. And you? Honestly, do you love him? I care about him. I'm falling for him. I don't know if it's love yet, but it could be. And me? I'm terrified of you, attracted to you, fascinated by you. I don't know if that's love either, but it's something equally powerful. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then Dae-hyun did something that shocked them both. He laughed, actually laughed, bitter and exhausted, and somehow genuine. We're all insane. You know that, right? This is the most ridiculous situation I've ever been in, and I've negotiated peace treaties between rival gangs. So what do we do? Zara asked. I don't know. Dae-hyun looked at Ji-hoon again. I'm still angry with you, still hurt, but you're my brother, and she's right. We're already broken. Maybe the only way to fix it is to stop fighting each other and start. He struggled with the words. Start figuring this out together. You're saying. Ji-hoon couldn't believe what he was hearing. I'm saying I don't have a solution, but I'm willing to try to find one. If it means we stop destroying each other. If it means she gets to choose happiness without guilt. If we can find a way to exist that doesn't end in disaster. He looked at Zara. No promises, no guarantees. This might blow up spectacularly. But you're right. Traditional rules don't work in our world. So maybe we make new ones. Zara felt something loosen in her chest. Hope, maybe, or relief. So where do we start? She asked. Honestly, Ji-hoon said, we start with honesty. No more secrets, no more martyring, no more unilateral decisions. We talk. We figure out boundaries. We see if there's a way forward that doesn't destroy us all. And if there isn't, Zara had to ask. Then at least we tried, Dae-hyun said simply. At least we were brave enough to try. The next 2 months were strange, complicated, and somehow worked. Not perfectly, not easily, but they worked. Dae-hyun and Ji-hoon slowly rebuilt their friendship through honesty that was often painful. They actually talked, about feelings, resentment, jealousy, love, about how much Zara meant to both of them and how terrifying it was to share that importance. I've never done this before, Dae-hyun admitted one evening when all three of them were together in Zara's new apartment, sharing dinner like something almost resembling normal. Shared anything that mattered. My instinct is to possess completely or walk away entirely. Mine too, Ji-hoon agreed. Loyalty in our world is absolute. You're either all in or you're a traitor. There's no middle ground. Then we make a middle ground, Zara said firmly. She'd taken control of navigating their unusual arrangement, setting boundaries, forcing communication when the men defaulted to silent suffering. We're writing new rules. It's messy, but it's ours. The arrangement was unconventional. Zara dated both of them, separately and honestly. Some evenings she'd have dinner with Dae-hyun, discussing business and books and his slowly healing emotional wounds. Other times she'd go to movies with Ji-hoon, laughing at action films and teaching him Ghanaian dishes. Physical intimacy moved slowly. Zara set clear boundaries and both men respected them absolutely. She was still a virgin, still intended to save that for marriage, and both men accepted it without pressure. I can wait, Dae-hyun told her. I've waited 7 years to feel anything. I can wait longer to have everything. I respect your values, Ji-hoon said. Your faith, your culture, your choices. That doesn't change how I feel about you. Her mother, who'd returned to Ghana with her security detail, video called weekly with increasing concern. Zara, baby, you can't date 2 men forever. Eventually, you'll have to choose. I know, Mama, I'm just not ready yet. And these men are okay with this sharing? They're trying to be. It's not traditional, but nothing about my life in Seoul is traditional. Her mother sighed. Just promise me you're being careful with your heart, your body, your soul. These men are dangerous, and this situation is dangerous. Don't lose yourself trying to save everyone. I promise, Mama. But saving everyone wasn't possible. Zara was beginning to realize that. The crisis came from an unexpected source. Zara was graduating. Finally, after everything, she'd completed her degree. The ceremony was small, attended by Ji-hoon and Dae-hyun, sitting on opposite sides, careful not to draw attention to their connection, and several classmates who'd become friends. After the ceremony, Zara found a note tucked into her graduation program. Congratulations on surviving, but survival isn't the same as winning. You still owe me a debt. C.S. Choi Seung-min. She'd almost forgotten about him in the strange peace of the past 2 months. He'd gone quiet after his defeat, reportedly focusing on rebuilding Silver Serpent operations and staying away from Crimson Tiger's territory. But apparently, he hadn't forgotten about her. That night, Zara showed the note to both men. Their reactions were immediate and violent. He's threatening you, Dae-hyun said, his voice cold. This is a declaration of intent. He's planning something. We need to end this, Ji-hoon added, permanently. As long as Seung-min is alive, you're in danger. You can't just kill him. That would restart the gang war. I don't care about the war, Dae-hyun interrupted. I care about you. If eliminating Seung-min means you're safe, then he dies. Today. No. Zara's voice was firm. There has to be another way. More death isn't the answer. Sometimes it is, Ji-hoon said quietly. In our world, some threats can only be neutralized one way. But Zara refused to accept that. She hadn't survived everything. Poverty, loneliness, kidnapping, gang politics, an impossible love triangle, just to become someone who accepted murder as inevitable. Let me talk to him, she said. Absolutely not, both men said simultaneously. Public place, neutral ground. Both of you nearby with full security. But let me try to negotiate. He's a businessman, right? Everything is transactional. So let me make a deal. What kind of deal? Dae-hyun asked suspiciously. I don't know yet, but I'm good at this. Business, negotiation, finding win-win solutions. It's literally what I got my degree in. Let me try. After much argument, they agreed. Conditionally. With so many safety measures that Zara felt like a head of state arranging a summit. The meeting was set for a high-end hotel restaurant in Gangnam. Public, expensive, full of witnesses. Zara arrived in business attire, carrying a leather portfolio like she was pitching to investors. In a way, she was. Seung-min arrived exactly on time, looking amused. Miss Mensah, or should I say, college graduate, congratulations on your achievement. Thank you. Shall we sit? They settled at a table with clear sightlines. Zara knew Dae-hyun was in a car outside. Ji-hoon was at the bar, pretending to drink alone, and at least a dozen armed men were positioned throughout the area. But right now, it was just her and Seoul's second most dangerous crime lord. I appreciate you agreeing to meet, Zara began. I wanted to discuss your note. The debt? It's simple. You cost me significant resources. Men, territory, reputation. I want compensation. What kind of compensation? Originally, I wanted you, as leverage against Kang Dae-hyun, as a pretty trophy, as revenge. But you've proven to be more trouble than you're worth in that regard. He sipped his wine. So instead, I want information. Business information. I'm not betraying Dae-hyun's operations. Not his. Yours. Seung-min pulled out a tablet. I've been watching your academic work, Miss Mensah. Your thesis on international trade optimization was exceptional. You have insights into emerging markets that my organization could use, legitimate insights, legal applications. Zara blinked. You want to hire me? As a consultant? I want to buy your expertise. Contract work, properly compensated, entirely legal. You help me expand Silver Serpent's legitimate business operations, the entertainment venues, the real estate investments, the import companies. Nothing criminal, nothing that compromises your relationship with Kang or your own morals. Just smart business advice from someone who understands both Korean and international markets. And in return, I leave you alone, completely. No more threats, no more revenge schemes, no more using you to hurt Dae-hyun. You become a neutral party, someone who works with multiple organizations, maintaining professional boundaries, Switzerland, basically. It was, actually, reasonable, almost too reasonable. Why? Zara asked. Why would you let go of your revenge? Because I'm tired, Miss Mensah. Seung-min's mask slipped slightly, revealing exhaustion underneath. I've spent 5 years hating Kang Dae-hyun for killing my brother. 5 years planning revenge, making moves, losing men and resources in pointless conflicts. And what has it gotten me? Nothing but more bodies and more problems. Maybe it's time to be smarter, to build instead of destroy, to make money instead of corpses. You're saying you want to go legitimate? I'm saying I want to diversify. Keep the profitable illegal operations, yes, but expand into legitimate businesses that don't require constant violence to maintain. You can help with that. Your skills, your insights, your perspective as someone outside our world, that's valuable. More valuable than revenge. Zara studied him carefully. If I agree, I need guarantees. Contracts, legal protections, assurances that you won't use this access to hurt Dae-hyun or anyone I care about. Done. I'll have my lawyers draw up everything. This will be strictly business, Zara. You give me strategic advice, I pay you consulting fees, and we both profit. No threats, no leverage, no gang politics, just capitalism. It was crazy. It was also brilliant. I need to discuss this with Dae-hyun and Ji-hoon. I assumed you would. Take your time. But Zara, Seung-min leaned forward. I'm genuine about this. I've watched you navigate impossible situations with intelligence and grace. You turned 2 rival gang members into allies, convinced them to share you rather than destroy each other, survived my worst attempts to break you. You're extraordinary. I'd rather work with you than against you. That's surprisingly respectful coming from someone who kidnapped my mother. That was a mistake. I apologize. Genuinely. I thought brutal tactics would work. I was wrong. You respond to respect and reason, not fear. So that's what I'm offering now. The conversation with Dae-hyun and Ji-hoon was explosive. Absolutely not, Dae-hyun said immediately. You're not working with Seung-min. I don't care how legitimate he claims it is. It's a trap, Ji-hoon agreed. He's playing you. Or, Zara interrupted, he's genuinely trying to end this conflict. And if working with him means no more gang wars, no more threats, no more violence, isn't that worth considering? He tried to torture your mother, and I haven't forgotten. But people can change, Dae-hyun. You changed. You went from cold killer to someone capable of love. Why can't Seung-min evolve too? Because I evolved for you. He's evolving for profit. That's different. Is it? You started protecting me strategically. Love came later. Maybe genuine partnership with Seung-min starts strategically and evolves into mutual respect. They argued for hours, but eventually Zara's logic won. Partly because she was right, partly because both men were learning to respect her autonomy, and partly because they were exhausted from years of conflict. Fine, Dae-hyun finally conceded. But conditions. All contracts reviewed by my lawyers. All meetings recorded. Any sign of betrayal, any hint of danger, and I end him, immediately. No negotiations. Agreed, Zara said. And I'm present at every meeting, Ji-hoon added. As your security, not just as Dae-hyun's man. If I see anything suspicious, we walk. Also agreed. The business relationship with Seung-min started cautiously, but proved surprisingly productive. Zara's insights into emerging African and Southeast Asian markets helped Silver Serpent expand legitimate operations significantly. Seung-min paid her well, honestly well, through proper business channels, and kept his word about leaving her personal life alone. More surprisingly, the three men, Dae-hyun, Ji-hoon, and Seung-min, began communicating directly about business matters. Not friends, never friends, but professional associates with mutual interests. Seoul's underworld shifted. The constant tension between Crimson Tigers and Silver Serpents eased. Other organizations noticed and adapted. Violence decreased, profit increased, and Zara became known as something unprecedented, the neutral negotiator, the woman who'd brought peace through business sense rather than bullets. Her consulting business grew. Other organizations, criminal and legitimate, sought her strategic advice. She built a reputation, a career, a life that was strange but fulfilling. But the personal situation remained complicated. 6 months after graduation, sitting in her apartment with both men, a common occurrence now, Dae-hyun finally asked the question they'd all been avoiding. Zara, this has been good, better than I expected. But it can't last forever like this. Eventually, you'll have to choose. Marriage, children, a real future. And you can't have that with both of us. Why not? She asked, though she knew he was right. Because society doesn't work that way. Because eventually you'll want a wedding, a public partnership, legal recognition, and you can only marry one person. Zara looked at both of them, Dae-hyun, who'd been her protector and challenger and dark mirror, Ji-hoon, who'd been her friend and comfort and safe harbor. I love you both, she said honestly. But you're right, this limbo isn't sustainable, so I'm going to make a choice. Not because anyone's forcing me, but because I finally figured out what I really want. Both men went very still. I choose, Zara took a breath. I choose Ji-hoon. For marriage, for partnership, for the legal future. But Dae-hyun, I'm not choosing to lose you. I'm choosing to love you differently. As family. As friend. As the man who saved my life and changed my world. If you can accept that, if we can build that, then nothing is lost. Everything is just redefined. Dae-hyun was quiet for a long, terrible moment. Then he smiled, sad but genuine. I can accept that. It's not what I wanted, but it's more than I expected. And you're right. Maybe loving you differently is better than not having you in my life at all. He stood and held out his hand to Ji-hoon. Take care of her. Make her happy. Give her the life she deserves. And if you ever hurt her, brother or not, I'll end you. Ji-hoon took his hand, tears in his eyes. I know. Thank you, Hyung, for everything. For sharing. For trying. For being better than you think you are. The two men embraced. True brothers again. Finally healed through honesty and sacrifice. Then Dae-hyun turned to Zara. Be happy, Zara Mensah. Build your empire. Change the world. And remember that you have a very powerful, very devoted, very platonic uncle figure who will destroy anyone who threatens you. Zara laughed through tears. Uncle, you're 36. Uncle/godfather/most terrifying friend you'll ever have. He kissed her forehead gently. I'll see you both at family dinners, but tonight, I'm leaving. You two have a lot to discuss. After he left, Zara and Ji-hoon sat in silence for a moment. Are you sure? Ji-hoon finally asked. You're choosing me? I'm choosing the man who makes me feel like I can be myself, who sees me as an equal, not a treasure to protect, who loves me without trying to own me. She took his hands. I'm choosing partnership, Ji-hoon. Real partnership. And yes, I'm choosing you. He kissed her then, properly, deeply, no guilt or hesitation. I'll spend every day earning that choice. I promise. I know you will. 2 years later, Zara stood in front of a mirror in a private suite at Seoul's most exclusive hotel, adjusting her wedding dress and trying not to cry and ruin her makeup. The dress was a masterpiece, a fusion of Korean and Ghanaian design. White silk with traditional kente cloth woven into the bodice, creating something uniquely hers. Her locks were styled in an elaborate updo, adorned with both gold Ghanaian beads and jade Korean ornaments. You look beautiful, baby. Her mother stood beside her, healthy and radiant, tears already flowing. Your father would be so proud. I wish he could be here. He is here, in your strength, your courage, your brilliant mind. You're everything he dreamed you'd become. Her mother adjusted a look that had slipped, and you're marrying a good man, a man who loves you enough to wait, to change, to become better. Ji-hoon had spent the past 2 years proving himself in every way possible. He'd gradually transitioned out of the criminal side of Dae-hyun's organization, moving fully into legitimate security operations. He now ran a successful private security firm, staffed partly by former Crimson Tigers members who also wanted out of gang life. It was honest work, well paid, and most importantly, it meant Zara could be proud of what her husband did without moral compromise. Are you nervous? Her best friend Hana asked, adjusting the train of the dress. Terrified, Zara admitted. Not about marrying Ji-hoon, I'm certain about that, but about everything else. The future, the business, balancing everything. Her consulting firm had exploded in success. She now employed 15 people, working with both legitimate corporations and underworld organizations that wanted to go straight. She'd become Seoul's unofficial bridge between criminal and legal worlds, helping men like Dae-hyun slowly transition their operations toward legitimacy. It was exhausting, complicated, sometimes dangerous work, but it was hers, and she was good at it. A knock at the door. Dae-hyun entered, looking sharp in a traditional Korean hanbok. He was walking her down the aisle, standing in for her deceased father at her request. "Everyone's ready," he said, then stopped, staring at her. "Zara, you're stunning. Thank you, and thank you for doing this. It means everything. It's an honor." Dae-hyun had kept his word. He'd redefined his love for her into something familial, protective, but no longer romantic. He'd even started dating someone new, a lawyer who worked with his legitimate businesses and didn't flinch at his past. Ji-hoon is a lucky man, though if he makes you cry for the wrong reasons, the engagement is off. The wedding is literally starting in 5 minutes. "I can work fast." Zara laughed, then grew serious. "Dae-hyun, I need to tell you something. Thank you. For everything. For protecting me. For letting me go. For becoming family instead of just giving up. You gave me the space to choose. And that gift is something I'll never forget. You gave me something more valuable. You reminded me I could be more than just a survivor. That I could actually live." He offered his arm. "Ready to become Mrs. Park?" "More than ready." The ceremony was a beautiful fusion of cultures. Ghanaian traditions mixed with Korean customs. The bride price negotiation had been hilarious, with Dae-hyun representing Zara's family and negotiating fiercely with Ji-hoon's mother. The payback ceremony, where they bowed to elders, followed by a Ghanaian libation ritual honoring ancestors. Zara's siblings had flown in from Ghana, along with aunts, uncles, and cousins, who filled the venue with joy and color. Ji-hoon's family, his mother, sister, and extended relatives, welcomed them all with warmth. And scattered throughout the guests were faces from Seoul's underworld: Crimson Tigers members in suits, Silver Serpent representatives maintaining respectful distance, even some golden dragons from Busan, all of them there to witness something unprecedented, a wedding that symbolized not just a union between two people, but a fragile peace between worlds. When Ji-hoon saw Zara walking down the aisle on Dae-hyun's arm, his composure shattered. He wept openly, not caring who saw, his love and gratitude written across his face. Dae-hyun placed Zara's hand in Ji-hoon's, whispered something in his ear, probably a threat about treating her well, then took his seat in the front row next to his own girlfriend. The officiant spoke in both English and Korean, weaving together Christian elements for Zara's faith and traditional Korean blessings for Ji-hoon's family. "Do you, Park Ji-hoon, take Zara Mensah to be your wife?" "I do. Absolutely. Forever." Ji-hoon's voice was thick with emotion. "Zara, you saved me, not just my life, but my soul. You made me believe I could be more than just a soldier, more than just loyal muscle. You saw me, really saw me, and loved me anyway. I promise to spend every day earning that love, protecting your dreams, and building the future you deserve." "And do you, Zara Mensah, take Park Ji-hoon to be your husband?" "I do." Zara squeezed his hands. "Ji-hoon, You were the first person in Seoul who made me feel safe. Not just physically safe, but safe to be myself. Scared, overwhelmed, imperfect. You never tried to change me or fix me or own me. You just loved me exactly as I am. That's the greatest gift anyone's ever given me. When they kissed, their first real kiss as a married couple, since Zara had maintained her boundaries about intimacy until marriage, the entire venue erupted in cheers. The reception was chaotic and perfect. Ghanaian music mixed with K-pop, traditional dances from both cultures, speeches that made everyone laugh and cry. Dae-hyun's speech was particularly memorable. I met Zara on the worst night of her life, or what should have been. She witnessed a crime, should have died, instead became the most important person in my world. She taught me that strength isn't about control, love isn't about possession, and sometimes the best way to keep someone is to let them go. Ji-hoon, you're my brother. Zara, you're my family. Together, you're proof that even in darkness, good things can grow. Be happy, build something beautiful, and know that I'll always be watching, in the least creepy way possible. Ji-hoon's mother spoke next, in Korean with Zara's friend translating. When my son first told me about Zara, I was worried. A foreign woman, connected to dangerous men, so many complications. But then I met her, and I understood. She's strong like bamboo, bends but doesn't break. She's fierce like a tiger, protecting her family. And she loves my son with her whole heart. That's all a mother can ask for. Zara's mother's speech made everyone cry. My daughter came to Seoul with nothing but dreams and determination. She faced poverty, loneliness, danger that still gives me nightmares. But she survived, more than survived. She thrived. She built a career, found love, created a family across continents and cultures. Zara, you are my pride, my joy, my miracle. And Ji-hoon, you are the son I prayed for. Good, honest, devoted. Take care of each other, honor each other, love each other every day. Even Seung-min gave a brief speech, surprising everyone. Business associates should stay just that, associates. But Zara Mensah made me reconsider that philosophy. She's brilliant, fearless, and has saved me more money with her strategic advice than I'd like to admit. Ji-hoon, you're a lucky man. Zara, if this marriage doesn't work out, my offer for legitimate consulting still stands. He paused for the laugh. But seriously, you two represent something this city desperately needs, proof that different worlds can coexist peacefully when people choose understanding over violence. Congratulations. Later that night, in their honeymoon suite, Zara and Ji-hoon finally had their first truly private moment as husband and wife. Are you happy? Ji-hoon asked, holding her close, both of them still in their wedding attire, neither wanting the day to end. Deliriously happy. Overwhelmingly happy. I didn't think this was possible, this life, this love, this peace. Zara looked up at him. You kept your promise. You earned my choice every single day. I'll keep earning it every day for the rest of our lives. He kissed her softly. I know tonight is significant. We waited so long. Are you nervous? A little, but also excited. Also grateful that you respected my boundaries, never pushed, never made me feel bad for wanting to wait. She smiled. That's how I knew you were the one. You loved me enough to wait for everything. I'd wait forever for you. They kissed, and for the first time, there were no barriers, no guilt, no complications. just two people who'd chosen each other through impossible circumstances, finally building their forever. 3 years after the wedding, Zara sat in her home office, a beautiful space in the house she and Ji-hoon had bought in a quiet Seoul neighborhood, reviewing contracts for her growing business. Her company now employed 40 people and had expanded internationally. She consulted for governments trying to curb organized crime, corporations trying to navigate complex international markets, and former criminals trying to go legitimate. She'd become exactly what she'd dreamed of, a successful international businesswoman, using her skills to make the world slightly better. A sound from the nursery made her look up. Their daughter, 1-year-old Eshi Minji Park, named for both their cultures, was waking from her nap. Ji-hoon appeared in the doorway, already moving toward the nursery. "I've got her. You finish your work. We can take turns. I want to. You've been working since 6 a.m. Let me handle princess duty." Zara watched him lift their daughter, her deep brown skin and his Korean features blending beautifully, and felt overwhelming gratitude for this life they'd built. Her phone buzzed. A text from Dae-hyun. "Family dinner this Sunday? My place? I'm making bulgogi, and Sujin is making dessert. Eshi needs to see her uncle." Zara smiled. Dae-hyun's girlfriend Sujin had become a close friend. Their daughter called him Uncle Dae, completely unaware that Seoul's former ghost king melted into a puddle every time she grabbed his finger. She texted back, "We'll be there. Eshi misses her favorite uncle." "I'm her only uncle." "Exactly. Makes you winning by default less impressive." "Brat, see you Sunday." Another text, this one from her mother in Ghana. "Sending photos of your brother's graduation. He's starting medical school next year. All because of you, baby. You saved us all." Zara looked at the photos. Her siblings, healthy and thriving and achieving their dreams. All because she'd been brave enough to come to Seoul, strong enough to survive impossible circumstances, smart enough to turn danger into opportunity. A video call came through. Her business partner Hana, calling from the Singapore office they'd opened last year. "Zara, the Malaysian government approved our proposal. We're officially consulting on their anti-trafficking initiative. This is huge. Exactly the kind of work we wanted to do." They celebrated virtually, discussing logistics and strategies and the future of their growing company. After the call, Zara sat back and took stock of her life. A career she loved that made a real difference. A husband who was her true partner in every way. A daughter who would grow up knowing both her Ghanaian and Korean heritage. A family that spanned continents, friends in high and low places. Financial security her younger self couldn't have imagined. Peace after years of danger. She'd come to Seoul 5 years ago as a frightened 20-year-old waitress, accidentally stumbling into a Mafia transaction that should have killed her. Instead, it had led her here, to love, success, purpose, and a life more complex and beautiful than she'd ever dreamed possible. Ji-hoon returned with Aeshe, who immediately reached for her mother. Zara took her daughter, breathing in her baby scent, marveling at this perfect tiny human they'd created. "What are you thinking about?" Ji-hoon asked, settling beside them on the couch. "About that night at the restaurant. When I walked into that VIP room and saw Dae-hyun and the money and realized my life would never be the same." She smiled. "I was so scared, so sure it was the end of everything. Instead, it was the beginning." Instead, it was the beginning, she agreed, of everything good. Everything I have now, you, Ishi, the business, the family, all of it, started that night when I accidentally became visible to Seoul's most dangerous man. You were always visible, Zara. You were always extraordinary. We just had the privilege of noticing. Later that evening, after putting Ishi to bed, Zara stood at their bedroom window, looking out at Seoul's glittering skyline. The city that had terrified her, challenged her, nearly destroyed her, and ultimately gave her everything. Ji-hoon wrapped his arms around her from behind, resting his chin on her shoulder. "Any regrets?" he murmured. Zara thought about everything: the fear, the danger, the impossible choices, the complicated relationships, the violence she'd witnessed, the darkness she'd navigated. "None," she said firmly. "Not a single one. Every difficult moment, every impossible choice, every dangerous situation, it all led here, to us, to this life, to choosing love even when it was complicated, choosing courage even when it was terrifying, choosing hope even when everything seemed impossible." "You chose me," Ji-hoon said softly. "Out of everyone, everything, you chose me. I chose us. I chose family. I chose building something beautiful out of impossible circumstances." She turned in his arms. "And I'd make that choice again, every single time." They stood together in the quiet of their home, their daughter sleeping peacefully in the next room, Seoul's lights twinkling below like earthbound stars. Zara Mensah had come to Seoul as nobody, a struggling student, a scared girl, an invisible waitress hoping to survive. She'd entered the Korean Mafia world as a virgin, innocent, a target of 3 dangerous men who each wanted her for different reasons. And she'd emerged as something no one expected: a successful businesswoman, a bridge between worlds, a woman who'd turned obsession into family, danger into opportunity, and impossible love into an extraordinary life. She was Zara Park now, wife, mother, CEO, peacemaker, friend to criminals and civilians alike. But most importantly, she was herself. Still strong, still proud, still the Ghanaian woman who'd crossed an ocean chasing dreams. Just with a much better apartment, a much more complicated family, and stories that would sound absolutely insane if anyone ever believed them. In the nursery, as she stirred and made a small sound, both parents immediately moved toward her, protective, devoted, ready to give her the world, just like 3 dangerous men had once been ready to give Zara the world, each in their own broken way. Love, Zara had learned, wasn't always simple. It wasn't always traditional. It wasn't always what anyone expected, but it was always worth fighting for. And in a city as complicated as Seoul, in a world as dark as the one she'd entered, that was the most revolutionary truth of all. The end. Thank you for watching Zara, Ji-hoon, and Dae-hyun's incredible journey to the end. If you loved this story of a Ghanaian virgin entering Seoul's dangerous underworld and becoming the target of 3 powerful men while building an empire and finding love in the most unexpected places, you'll love the next story even more. It's just as intense, emotional, and romantic as you can imagine. So don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. See you in the next one. Zara walked into that VIP room as a nobody and emerged as a queen. Would you have the courage to choose love over safety, to build bridges between dangerous worlds, to create your own rules when traditional ones don't fit? Drop your answer in the comments below. I want to know if you'd have made the same choices or different ones.